Simpsons Index, an online spreadsheet that is also a podcast. This is the podcast. Coming to you out of SideQuest Studios, this is the Simpsons Index, episode 109. Hello out there, I'm your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill, and joining me in SideQuest Studios is David Molloy.
Hello, Elliot. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the podcast for the first time, man.
Yeah, this is really exciting. Like, this is remarkably professional for an internet chat about an old cartoon.
Shh, we have to pretend we're the underdogs.
Yeah. The professionalism begins and ends at the studio. It gets wildly unprofessional from here on in. And here as always, except when he's not, BT Calloway.
Oh, hoi hoi.
And thank you for joining us for The Simpsons Index. This is the podcast where we watch and review 3 episodes of The Simpsons at a time, but there's a twist. Each episode must come from a different decade. Now, David, joining us for the first time, we like to ask our first-time guests, where do The Simpsons begin with you? What is your Simpsons history?
Well, actually, funnily enough, when you asked me what my favorite episodes were leading up to the podcast, one of my favorites has to be the first episode that I ever saw, which was the snake oil episode where Grandpa and Homer are selling sex tonic, essentially. And I saw this at my grandparents' place. We were in my grandparents' bedroom watching it on the TV while Mum was sitting outside listening to my grandmother complain about being alive. And because up until that point, The Simpsons had been banned in our household. It was...
Oh, you were one of those kids.
Yes, it was the devil until we were about 13.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to watch this bullshit and I'm going to see what they're getting up to. And then got to the end of it and I was like, well, that was fairly wholesome. But the Sex Tonic episode we watched on our own in this bedroom and it was great. Like, and even now, sort of looking back on that, you know, it's an episode that had sort of, I guess, a lot of adult themes when you're, you know, looking at a younger audience, but never in a way that was sort of like exploitative or crass or and it was just like that indicative of the tone that The Simpsons would have for a really long time and why it was such a great show.
Yeah, it's mostly done through adults drinking the tonic and running home, and that's about all you see.
Yeah. And then just the inference from them being reverse vampires, which is excellent.
Under the supervision of the Rand Corporation.
Well, yeah, that's the beautiful thing because, like, as a kid, you might be confused as what's happening, but the kid's interpretation of those events, like, that was an episode that we covered very early on in the podcast run, and we fucking loved that one.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang for me.
But it's okay. We've got an excellent classic episode lined up for you later on tonight, but first, we must subject you to the HD and teens eras.
And oh boy, did you.
So speaking of which, we just watched an episode from the HD era. This was season 29, episode 16, King Leer.
How do you make a King Leer? Put the queen in a bikini.
Hey.
I'm stealing Krusty's bits now. This is where life has taken me.
Again, from the good years.
This was first released in April of 2018 this year. It was directed by Chris Clements, written by Daniel Furlong and Zach Posner. In this episode, Moe's dad gets in touch with him after a very long time to try and get him back into the mattress business because he's retiring. And yeah, we meet Moe's family basically who are all in the mattress game. Guys, what'd you think?
Woof.
I do have a note. It isn't awful.
Yeah, I kind of fell in the same area. I think because I counted what I started doing with my notes was every time I laughed out loud, I just wrote lol next to the note and underlined it so I could refer back to that.
Yeah.
And there are 3 underlined notes. So that's not horrific, but that is, you know, when you think about an episode of TV comedy, that's like 1 lol per 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Which
not a
is
good
low.
ratio.
No.
Yeah, more lols than lols.
I really kind of felt this one had some jokes that were better, but they were just delivered really flat. And I'm like, I feel like they could have landed that with a bit more emphasis, but weird.
Man, I'm so sorry that I don't know her name off the top of my head, but the woman who plays Marge
Julie Kavanaugh?
Yeah, Julie Kavanaugh. She sounded so dead inside.
Yeah.
I think that voice is just starting to hurt a lot.
I can imagine that, but it wasn't so much that it sounded like the actual voice work hurt, and more that just like part of her soul had chipped away irreparably.
Yep.
Like, there's just nothing left of her character except for just putting up with shit.
Yeah. Yeah, the lines were delivered really, like, half-heartedly, and yeah, it is one of those things where you don't know if she's tired of the role or if her voice is just tired.
Yeah, and the fact that she's meant to be a lot of the driving force behind this episode doesn't help it out.
No, not really.
She's the Homer in this episode.
Yeah,
she fully is, isn't she?
Fucked. That's so bad.
To be fair, they get there, I think, fairly organically because she hates to see her family torn apart, which is a very Marge thing. She then does become the Homer. But,
Yeah.
Well, starting out, David, for better or worse, what is a moment from this episode that stands out to you?
Okay, actually, because it does kind of bring me to, I think, something that is across the writing that is both good and bad. They got me with one particular pun. So there's a setup where the young Mo is being asked by his father to essentially destroy another mattress store, like release a bunch of Hungarian mattress gnashers into how the fuck did I remember that? Into their mattress warehouse and destroy them all. And he turns to him and he says, like, do you want to be in this business? Do you want to be a Sandman? A slumberjack? And I was like, that's good shit.
Slumberjack got a tick from me
Slumberjack
as well.
was very good, but like in the rest of the episode, it's so pun heavy.
Yeah.
There's literally like a pun joke in every single scene, and it's so weak. Like it's remarkably weak. Like, they might as well have been just using sarcasm throughout the entire episode because all of these puns, like Slumberjack was the only one that really landed for me.
Yeah. Now, I found myself in this episode, like, for what few laughs I had, they were more just like a snort out my nose sort of laugh. It wasn't like a... how people laugh.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
The way I've seen them do it in the street.
Yeah.
The way I've observed them through a powerful telescope.
How about you, BT? What is a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
Man, it was something that started off as what I thought was a joke, and then after a while, I'm like, they're either beating this horse well past its expiration date, or they...
Why does that sound familiar?
I just... Red Dead 2. No, they keep saying, oh, well, I'm going to try and reach around to my son. It's like,
yeah!
But and they did, okay, the first one they did, I thought, okay, I guess they're having a little riff on, but then they did it over and over, and even Marge says, I'm like, they either genuinely think that's the expression, or they're just beating this dead horse into putty.
Yeah.
It's weird. It really just stuck out. I kind of like... got a half laugh the first time, and then every other time was just a cringe. Like, why do you keep doing this?
Yeah, insert the gif of the child going, stop, he's already dead.
Yeah.
Like it is.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
For real. And just jumping on that, the moment that stood out to me was this whole repeating gag of the shoes, like being used for fighting, which I liked a couple of times, but I felt it like it was a joke of diminishing returns.
Yeah,
oh, definitely.
I agree. Like, when it first happens, it's kind of funny because it just goes to such an odd extreme.
Yeah.
And then there's like a follow-up of that, which kind of reinforces, no, this is how they fight. I'm like, okay. But then there's one where when they make up, they all take their shoes and rub each other with it. And it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they do it another 2 times after that.
Yeah.
It's just...
It's like seeing someone go to a workshop where they learn how to write a joke and the sort of steps of doing it. And they're like, okay, so you've achieved structure and I'll give you that. But the rest needs work.
Yeah, it's like they're going, the comedy of threes where you have setup, reinforcement, and then payoff. Let's just have payoff, 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 payoff.
But that's kind of like, I feel like there's so many things post-Simpsons that have that exact formula, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the same foible that Family Guy has all the time. It's payoff, payoff, payoff.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that later episodes of Futurama have. And I feel like the lesson you can learn from the later episodes of The Simpsons is essentially like the worst thing that you can do as an artist in any medium is imitate your imitators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like they felt like they needed to keep up with the American kind of like jokes per minute kind of thing.
This is what the youths are into.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very much the season's detriment because it's lost a lot of heart and even when they're sort of pushing towards those heartful, soulful things like the family. Like they had so many opportunities to do that with Moe's family and the crappy local ads that they made.
Yeah.
That was a perfect opportunity for some really good quality gags. And they just completely dropped the ball.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that also stood out to me was the commercials, because I got to say, they looked awesome. They got that perfect,
that film grain. And
that 20-year-old VHS look about them. There's some slight color warping, and you got the little tracking line, working its way down. It looked great, but the material within those commercials were, super weak.
Yeah, it was like they were leaning into that, okay, so they're local ads, so they're bad.
Yeah.
But they didn't see that as funny. They just sort of made bad ads.
Yeah. Rather than this is what it is, rather than, a jokey version of it. Yeah. So anyway, play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
0.
Never.
Yep, I've seen it once before.
You poor bastard.
Yep.
The things he does for The Simpsons.
But again, like, it wasn't as bad as I thought a 2018 episode of The Simpsons would be.
Mm.
Although, and particularly because right at the start, when the music teacher was talking, like, his lips were out of sync with what he was saying, and I was like, this is going to be a trash file.
I thought that was just, file, and I'm like, okay, well, shit.
A perfectly legal file.
Perfectly legal file, acquired legally.
Yep.
But then, yeah, you're right, everything else synced up fine. I was like, was that just some ADR they didn't bother getting right?
I guess so, yeah. It's just like last minute, the episode's going out tomorrow, fuck it.
Yeah.
Like, no one will notice.
No, I mean...
Certainly not 3 boys in a studio in Australia.
They were wrong, we noticed.
We put those fuckers on blast, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Get ready to get dragged, Simpsons writers.
Groening gets lit the fuck up.
Podcast destroys Simpsons creator. So how about some of the wacky moments of this episode? What were some, like, cartoony elements that stood out to you?
Drunk dog.
Yeah, okay. Shining light of this episode.
MVP, no question.
Yeah.
Because it was such a great start as well, because, Homer's in the car, he uses the breathalyzer, like, oh, damn it, sees a dog. Then the dog's in the car, you think, okay, that's how he's going to start the car, but then the dog blows higher than he does.
And then, stumbling away. It's just like,
Very good. But I think that was probably the least crass joke the episode had as well, this idea of this cartoony drunk dog. There were so many other, like, attempts to be kind of edgy.
Yeah.
Like with the Abraham Lincoln saying, we're freeing the savings, or the music sign that said pluck, blow, or finger.
Man, there's also the names of the various locations of all the mattress stores.
Thank you for picking
I
up
only
on that.
caught a couple. One was Greek Chinatown, so I'm guessing there was just a list of
That's
different
okay.
Chinatowns.
I'll pay that one.
Another one was Jerk Circle.
Jerk Circle.
Oh,
Yep.
dear, fuck.
Straight up.
That does not sound like a place, though. That's...
No.
Yeah.
That sounds like a reference to a nasty thing, but without tying it to an actual joke.
And I caught Little Guantanamo Bay.
Yep. Yep. And I think it was just Little Guantanamo, but it's still like, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't associate Guantanamo with anything else.
Yeah.
You
Good
think
job.
Guantanamo, they have great pickles. No, it's not a thing you think about. It's not the association.
Oh,
True,
but they
true.
still use them for torture. It's like, it's not ideal.
Yeah, you don't want to know they're salty because of tears.
Jesus.
I know, I'm surprised I went there too, but here we are now.
Shit, actually going back to cartoony moments when they
Yeah.
were trying to establish how nasty Moe's brother and sister were. And the way that they established this with the sister was, she's eating Chinese food with scissors.
I liked that.
Yeah. I think I just got the pure shock joke at laugh out of me. She's like, oh shit, didn't see that coming at all. Thought it was going to be like with her bare hands, and I was like, nope.
Well, yeah,
scissors.
because the way her
Way funnier.
hands are positioned as well, you kind of hold chopsticks the same way you do hold scissors. So it was a really good reveal like
If
that.
you're really bad with both things, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. The other cartoony moments, of course, are in the various montages in this episode. Yeah, first one being essentially the first act, fuck you, this isn't actually what the story's about moment with Bart and the violin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was possible. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
it was at least like, okay, I feel like Bart is on brand. Like he's just, being the
Actually, I think
trickster.
there's a good example of some diminishing returns because he's, Marge is trying to pressure him to getting an instrument, and he's like, well, how about this? And it's a trombone, and she imagines him just smacking kids in the back of the head with it. And I thought, I'm like, okay, yeah, he'd definitely do that.
Yeah.
But then it goes from that to him using the bow of a violin to launch into a chandelier and crash it on the audience. Like, that went from, like, troublemaking to murder pretty easily.
Yeah, and it went via a clarinet, assumingly filled with lighter fluid to set Seymour on fire.
Also that. But
Marge has a vivid imagination.
at the same time, with that chandelier, I wanted them to go further, instead of having it like everyone suddenly managed to clear that space. I wanted like McBain levels of blood. Just like,
guys are shooting out.
yeah,
and-
because it's in Marge's imagination. It's without consequence. Let it go to that ridiculous place.
But I
Yeah.
imagine Marge has a pretty bloodless imagination.
That's
I guess
true.
so. And maybe they try to keep the blood out of the episodes that aren't Halloween ones generally. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. Like,
Pussies.
and like, because they can't show Bart's butt anymore, so there's.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, they already showed his dick in the movie. Like,
Yeah.
how much further can they go?
We're out of things.
It's like he's going to open his urethra to the camera in like season 20. No, they've already passed that, aren't
Yep,
they?
season 30 episode, Bart's colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, what I really didn't like about the violin section is they essentially, with Bart's montage of torturing Homer with like almost destroying the violin, like, which through his actions, he's already fucked that thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you essentially get the same joke twice of Bart with the instruments and the montage. Like,
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. I mean, there were bits in there I did like. I liked him scrubbing his back with a violin in the shower. That was funny.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, like a rag on a stick.
Like a violin on a stick. But like when it got time for Homer to do the dive to save the violin, like I was just over it at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I did like the turn where Homer's just like, no, I'm not going to be burdened with this. I'm just destroying it now.
Yeah.
I do like he completely destroys the violin and then just runs out and just passionately kisses Marge. He's like,
That
I'm
was pretty
free!
good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. But yeah, like, and especially because there's no stakes in that moment of the violin throw, because like you were saying with the formula, you know that this is not what the episode's about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't, read the synopsis previously on Wikipedia and
Yeah.
spoiled who the actors were, I'm sitting there like, intently listening, trying to work out who the hell is playing Morty,
Yep.
Moe Szyslak's dad. Did not pick up that it was Ray Liotta, and I feel sorry for both of us for that truth.
Well, yeah, may as well jump to the guest stars of this episode. So yeah, Ray Liotta is Morty.
Flawless segue.
Yeah.
Podcasting professional over here.
Oh yeah, 109 episodes. I know what I'm doing, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he did a fine enough job.
Makes you feel like they'd thrown in at least a Goodfellas reference somewhere.
Well, they did in a sense because playing Minnie Sislak was Debbie Mazar, who was in The Goodfellas.
Come on, you got two of the Goodfellas?
And the other guest star playing Johnny Bermuda, the salesman at the shirt store, was Jonathan Schmock, who was the maitre d' in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Holy shit.
And are you an Arrested
That's a
Development?
deep cut.
I know,
Jeez.
right?
Yeah.
Are you Arrested Development fan?
Yeah.
In the episode where Michael goes to Little Britain, he is the bartender. I forgot the word for fucking bartender. He is the bartender that says, and the soup of the day is bread.
In what is, routinely referred to as the best season of Arrested Development.
Yeah, number 3. Couldn't be much worse than 5, I assume.
That's true. Yeah, exactly. We're never going there. I mean, like, I'm only in season 29 of The Simpsons because you made me do this, you bastard.
Oh, and there's so many more awful seasons left. So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel the bumps?
I saw the bumps. I was aware of the heart. I did not feel it.
Mm?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like a sort of a shitty heart emoji drawn at
Yeah.
a distance. Like, it really wasn't there.
Yeah, well,
Like,
again, I think
That's so unauthentic. A shitty heart emoji. Wow.
I think it's just something in the delivery. Like, I understand Marge's, interest in bringing a family back together, blah, blah, blah. But just, either something in the delivery or something in the way it was phrased. It just didn't quite connect. But at least it's there as a driving force. It's an idea. It exists.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll give that above a bunch of other episodes that just haven't had that.
that's fair.
Yeah, I'll give it that I haven't seen this episode that many times, twice now. I might have missed something, but to me, I don't feel like the intentions of any character was clear enough to drive the heart of the story. Like, because it was just so flippy. Like, okay, Moe's got a bad relationship with his family that they establish at the start of the story. Fine enough. And then they have that turn where they get along and you're like feeling it. And then what is really the motivation for the brother and sister to sabotage Moe? Like, because doesn't they help each other by making sure each mattress store is successful?
Well, you come from a family where people get along.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the suggestion there is, they're not working as a franchise, they're working as individual stores, which then doesn't make sense for I don't know. Like you said, they're just not drawn well as characters. And I feel like I've definitely seen much better reasoned side characters. Even if they're only there for one episode, they at least still have some sense of being, having a little more depth.
Yeah. And you can say they're sort of motivated to get revenge on Moe for the, not taking out the other mattress store or whatever. But again, I don't think that's made clear. And also, what's with the dad going all psycho and saying burn it all to hell at the end? Like,
He wants you to prove you're man enough there.
Yeah. So I saw the arc, but again, you see it, but it's like, okay.
It's drawn.
That's fine. I actually got more dramatic resonance out of the side gag of Homer throwing a bucket of paint on Patty and Selma because it was just so petty and so fleeting. And it was like, that's what the episode needed. Just that bit of a kick of just good old-fashioned slapstick humor and, kind of feeding off the history of The Simpsons without just sort of like cannibalizing it, you know? Like instead of just going, remember when we did that thing? It's just, here's a quick joke that longtime fans will get.
No, absolutely. And it was in amongst this montage where I'm like, oh, fuck, another, like, destruction montage in
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
episode.
Although I did like them using the twirly signs to attack each other.
Oh, yeah.
I got a joke out of that. And
Again,
yeah,
it seemed like the animators were having more fun than
Yeah.
the cast or
I
audience.
think
Yeah,
that's
for
fair,
real.
actually.
You know, and talking about sort of cannibalizing the history, you know, when I originally told you guys what episode we were doing and what it's roughly about, you know, we get to know Moe's family a bit more and know his dark history. It's just such a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, this was not as horrible as I was expecting.
no, but yeah, it wasn't bad, but it definitely was bland.
Yeah.
But ultimately, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
I guess no one's horrifically off.
Yeah, and again, you know, for something that would backstory, you know, Moe a bit, like, it didn't feel like a betrayal of his character.
No.
Even though we don't know the status of their religious, you know, because he apparently came from a family of snake handlers.
Yeah, but they're in the habit of undercutting their old stories now, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
very
just
heavily. Which is, I think this one surprisingly didn't undercut a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, we've had throwaway jokes that have been worse. Like when they're like, my mother was a Yeti. And it's like,
Yeah, that's right.
actually a line from an actual episode.
That's canon. But yeah, in terms of like character integrity as well, we see a little bit of Jerkhouse Homer in this episode with the whole "don't say I told you so" thing. How did this play for you guys?
Again, in theory, it's fine, but it just something didn't quite land about it. Because, yeah, he never gets to say I told you so. Think back to like, well, you have a gambling problem. Same kind of deal, except here it's a little more a writer just had a divorce kind of spite to it, I
Ooh, yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, I do definitely feel this was written by, a 50-year-old male who's like can't talk to his wife.
whose like father-in-law is a mattress salesman.
Yeah. I should preface this by saying that domestic violence is never ever funny, but I can't wait for the episode where Marge stabs the fucker to death. Like, I'm
She has
so
cut off
ready
his
for
thumb, so.
it. It's not enough. It's not enough.
But yeah, I think the bit where, you know, she's all like, how could this have happened? He just cuts to his brain. He's like, don't say I told you so, don't say I told you. Just have him standing there like,
Yeah.
just trying not to blurt it out.
Well, they
You
lost
don't need
the
monologue.
heart, and they lost the heart of the episode, and you know the success of that joke by just stating the obvious, which they feel like they need to do all the time.
Which I felt like they really did with Lisa and Homer's conversation where, oh, you haven't been married before, Lisa. Yeah, I felt like not only did that not land, it also made Homer look shitty and conniving.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
could have saved that by having going, well, I finally got to say I told you so, but now I don't want to, honey.
Yeah.
You know, something. It's not great.
But I also just have.
It's the way to say I told you so without actually saying I told you so. But I did tell you so.
But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Probably nah.
I mean, hangover test, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. It's not very compelling
If
for
I was
me.
going to get clockwork oranged into watching one bad episode of The Simpsons, then I guess I'd pick this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. BT, what would you like to change about this episode?
Many things. I don't quite know where to begin on that one. Because there's not like particular parts that are so egregious it ruins everything. It's just kind of an undertone to it all. So work on that heart a little bit for motivation. Change Homer around a little bit. Just stop it with the fucking reach around stuff. What's that? Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, cement Moe's family more as characters with motivations rather than people just doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and it wouldn't be terribly hard. Like, I mean, they kind of established that, you know, when Moe first mentions that his family are all mattress salesmen, he makes it sound like everyone knows they're this greedy, underhanded, demonic thing. Whereas my response was, oh, I mean, I've only ever bought like 2 and it was fine.
Yeah, so this 50-year-old divorced writer had to go out and buy a new mattress.
And this was what pissed him off. Yeah, whereas, you know, make it sound like, oh, no, you don't understand. If you're in the mattress game, it's just nothing but cutthroat city. Cutthroats everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, have that
Build
be the
a
revelation.
world for us.
Yeah, and so then when his siblings naturally do go after him, he's like, yeah, what I tell you can't trust anyone, not even your family in this game. You know, something like that. And that just makes more sense, and it's not even all that hard to do. So that and all the other things I said, and also just make it better.
Yeah, just a touch better would be tops.
Yeah.
I'd be all about that.
How about you, David? What would you like to change?
I think you, as a writer, you should be sitting in the room, like, and thinking, okay, there's not enough meat on the bones of this story because as an audience member, I am craving a B plot right now. And I feel like a B plot would have made this episode stronger. It also would have meant that, like, instead of, you know, Lisa kind of getting just talked down by Homer that one time and having one other line. And her line in this episode was great. Why not try the clarinet? It's like the recorder, but cooler.
Yeah.
Like, that is a very good classic Lisa Simpson line, and I back it. But yeah, I feel like this desperately needed a B-plot. Just, like, give us a bit of effort. Like,
and that would help with the momentum a little bit as well, and like transitions from one bit to the next. Yeah.
You've got this Breaking Bad style setup of, a legal sort of business that is being run by total charlatans, and just play into that a bit. If you're going to get Ray Liotta on, give him something to chew on.
That's actually a very good point, because, why get two people from the Goodfellas and not make a few more overt references to it?
Yeah, if you're going to make so many other overt references to friggin' Uber and, all of these other sort of modern things, maybe Goodfellas isn't the most up-to-date reference, but, you could probably still do a better job of it.
Still cast two people from it. So,
I think of Zootopia. Had like a really overt Godfather reference.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That played.
Exactly.
Like, why not Goodfellas?
Yeah. Fuck, that's a good movie.
It's a real good movie.
And what I'd like to change, I sort of liked what you were saying earlier before, David, of Mo actually shutting the bar and, trying to go all in on this, because I think there's a fine establishment of in the episode of Mo having a tiff with his family and the opportunity to make good on that and like be part of the family business again, like should feel a lot more exciting than it did in the episode.
Then you got Goodfellas and being a part of the family. And as far back as I can remember, I wanted to be a mattress salesman.
I can actually think of right now, I think the plot that would have been more satisfying for me is if the family had actually been super on the level and you had like Ray Liotta as the dad, being this like buttoned down, perfect businessman, like all-round wholesome family guy, and for Mo to just like constantly want to resort to the same kind of cutthroat stuff that he did in the bar all the time. Like he's, a rough around the edges kind of person. Don't make him the white sheep. Make him the black sheep. Like, make him lean into that.
That is so interesting because, we see Mo have this crisis of conscience from an early age, and then he still becomes like a shifty person that, as we were saying before the recording, runs a bunch of sketchy businesses in the back room of his bar.
Kidnapping pandas and whales. And
this episode
hilarious.
Almost pretends he didn't ever do that sort of shit.
Yeah. Even though he, smashes a bunch of glasses and jams an axe in the bar by the, the 5-minute mark or something like that.
He ruined the Disorient Express.
Yeah.
Which, again...
See, that was a good part.
I liked
and
that
was
part.
in passing.
I didn't mind as the train was going past, so this is a train that has beer glasses on the back of it, and the three guys in the bar are all going, chug, chug, chug. Like that, I'll pay that.
Yeah. So, BT, do you have any other notes?
Indeed, I do. I do like of the, Hungarian mattress smashers. It's like, the only way to get rid of them is to walk away from your house naked and start a new life. Like they just ruin you so badly you can't even go back to your own life.
Well, I like that especially because, I don't know who out there has dealt with bed bugs, but we dealt with fleas at our Kalara house, and that was a fucking nightmare.
Well, again, like they, the mattress gnashers get freed at the end of the episode, so there's our perfect opportunity for the reset button. Like,
all the
Lisa,
Simpsons characters get out.
Well, except for the kids. The kids are still there at home wondering where their parents have gone to, and they've gone off to Cuba to like begin a new life.
Okay, an example of a joke that should have worked but didn't when Mo's about to go on this revenge rampage, and I was like, I better go with him to make sure I see it.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw that, like, I like that line. Why didn't I like that delivery? What was, I don't know, someone's just off on it.
Yeah, again, it's the snorty nose laughter.
Yeah, and Marge also said, Mo looks like he's really fuming over something. We should go follow him. And there's no real reasoning as to why. Like, Marge doesn't have that much of a connection to Mo yet. And, everyone knows Mo is, like, a scary kind of dude. Why would you follow him into the back alley behind the pub?
Furious.
Yeah.
And super pesty as well, and has been pesty towards Marge in the past.
A lot,
And not just pesty, sex pesty.
Yeah. Oh.
The bad kind of pesty.
Yeah.
The worst.
This is someone they established twice in the episode that Marge cannot bring herself to hug.
Yeah.
That's actually, that feels like that's the only reason they had Marge involved in this story as well, to do this quote-unquote joke about the physical contact, which,
Yeah. And my last one is a
Jordan Corner.
So, what was it? Morty Sislak.
Yep. Oh, jeez, Rick.
So there's a bit where he takes off his toupee and he has hair underneath, and then he puts it back on and takes it off again, and he doesn't have hair. And it's like,
what the shit?
What? Yeah, I was so confused.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like,
No good. And actually, I had a Jordan's anal corner.
So to briefly explain this, we have a friend called Jordan who's very anally retentive and likes to pick up on tiny details. So then we just say this is his thing. But every time he has one, we have to yell it.
Yeah.
And so over time, it just gets more and more deformed until we're just going, Jordan's there!
Yeah, we imagine the town cried just getting drunker and drunker. But yeah, the Desaurian Express, it wasn't like looped, it was just on the bar. And anyway. How about
Poor tradesmanship in this episode.
I say.
the model train community would be in an uproar.
And that is not what the Hungarian mattress smasher looks like.
How about you, David? Do you have any other notes?
The ad thing makes me so upset because
Yeah?
I've seen so many great plays on those. Saul Goodman being the key example. Like every
Yes.
ad that Saul Goodman ever does is fantastic because he takes that aesthetic and works it. And it's just, I wish they'd watched that instead of just drawing up these shows.
Yeah.
All I've got in my mind now is just, fake door emporium. Look at it. Won't open. Won't open.
I'm still in there.
Still selling fake
Oh,
doors.
damn it.
Well, the commercial's still good. He's making himself a sandwich. Oh, fantastic.
Now it's time, and now it's time for his final notes. Elliot's final notes.
It's still going.
Bass solo, dude.
Get the Chang bit into
The violin playing the world's smallest violin. Again, something I liked about that joke that I felt was flat in delivery.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of bits like that. I'm like, I should like this more.
Yeah.
Am I not drunk enough?
Yeah. Well,
Or am I too drunk?
Are the writers not drunk
Yeah.
enough?
Someone hasn't enough alcohol.
one reoccurring joke that I actually did like was the onion being like a reoccurring thing for this family to snack on an onion. I don't know. There's something about like the onion being a family favorite treat. Like,
Yeah.
Well, like the
the
guys
situation's making me feel a bit oniony right now.
yeah, like the guys in Shelbyville eating the lemons. Like it's like that joke, but
Cool
not
glass
funny.
of turnip juice.
And I liked how Homer's favorite movie of all time is Fast and the Furious 6. What's the moral of that story? Cars. The other moral? Family. That wasn't bad. And it seems like, yeah, that'd be Homer's favorite movie.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be funnier, like, if his favorite was Tokyo Drift? Like, give us something. Fast and the Furious 6 is a fun movie that people like. Give
Yeah.
us something.
Yeah. Tokyo Drift. Tokyo Drift is like my favorite premise for a movie subheading joke
Yeah.
after
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah,
Thank you.
100%. Well, I feel like Electric Boogaloo's been done a
Yeah,
lot more
exactly.
than
I
Tokyo Drift.
think we need to move on collectively as a culture to Tokyo Drift.
Exactly.
I hated that section at the dinner table with Marge encouraging the compliment thing, and then Homer struggling to think of one with Bart.
Yeah.
And his mouth looks so fucking weird here.
It does.
Yeah. It looked very Simpsons movie.
Yeah.
Actually, that weird smoothness to it.
Yes, that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, well, the animation, is, a bit more animated. The Simpsons actually released a little while ago some footage from the first cut of... Do you remember the episode with the babysitter bandit?
Yes.
I don't think
Hi, I'm Miss Bart's.
Yeah, I haven't seen it for a
No.
million years, but I remember it.
Huh.
Yeah, they get Marge and Homer go out on a date. They get a babysitter who ends up hog-tying the children, and
Woof.
yeah. That was actually originally meant to be the first episode, but the animation came back and they weren't happy with it, so it ended up being the last so that they could reanimate it. But yeah, so what was wrong with it is that it had like this Disney-esque quality of like over-animation and overexpression, and I felt like this is sort of what this episode was doing as
This
well.
had a weird thing where it's going to be hard to explain, but if you're aiming a character from like the right side and they're half turned towards camera, the left side of the mouth is still closed.
Yeah.
And so it just looks odd, whereas normally it would be open. And it's tiny, but it's enough to be really distracting.
It's also just weird to have like a very, a famously idiosyncratic animation style,
Yeah.
and then to just pull away from that
Alter
for no
any
real,
part of it whatsoever.
yeah, and for no real discernible qualitative difference.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's what we're finding with the HD era episodes is that objectively they look better than the earlier era, but they don't have the personality.
Yeah.
Doesn't have that charm, that Simpsons charm.
Yeah. Make it look shittier and written better.
Yeah. Focus less on the animation. It's
Yeah.
a weird thing to say. I liked the joke of the bug jar bouncing on the soft mattress in the firm and then
Oh, yeah.
smashing on the ultra firm.
Passing grade.
Yeah, passing grade. And then my final note is that fucking weird commercial
Yeah.
credits tag.
Which did nothing. I feel like this has got to be a parody of something, but I have no idea what.
Yeah, and like...
There's no joke. It's just, oh, Mo fell down. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you sure?
Okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I'm all right. Did you get that all on camera?
The guitar's pretty broken.
Yeah,
but
it
are you
is.
okay?
I'm okay.
Where's the joke?
Good joke. Yeah.
All right, it is time to rank this thing. On the Simpsons Index, we rank using our 6-point scale, which starts down the bottom at failure. But maybe if the episode is just meh, you give a participant. But for the positive rankings, you got okay bronze, good silver, excellent gold, but for the best of the very best, you give a cubic zirconia. I'm going to go first. Let me show you how it's done. I'm going to give this one a participant, and it is because of what I was saying before. It's not so much bad, it is bland. Also, you know, to get a bronze, it means I'd have to revisit it again, and I don't think it did enough well for me to justify doing that. So, big old meh participant for me, BT.
Yeah, I'm right there as well. Like, there's enough that goes well that I could almost give this a bronze, but yeah, I don't want to see it again. It's that simple. So, yeah, that's a participant.
All right, David, finish it off.
Feels like such a cop-out, but yeah, exactly. I'm going to also give it a participant. It's not a fail, but it's not a bronze. I choose not to pluck, blow, or finger.
Put that on your business card.
Very good. All right, this will make this episode a unanimous participant. This will be joining other such...
It is.
Excelsior!
It exists.
Too soon.
I know.
Oh, yeah, rest in peace, Stanley.
Yeah.
I just meant, all of us united together,
Yeah.
but it didn't quite come out that way.
Freeze frame on us all midair with the
Yeah,
fists in the air. Yep. This will be joining other season 29 participants as Fears of a Clown, which we did with Hottest 100s and Thousands a few episodes ago.
My boys, my sweet boys.
Shout out to. And the Surfsons, the weird fucking medieval Game of Thronesy Simpsons parody, which... Yeah, that's
Gross.
a weird one.
Weird.
I already hate it.
Yeah, it's all set in like medieval times, but it's not a story or anything. It's just set then, and there's no explanation.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just then. It's like, all right, fine.
Was it supposed to be like a Disenchantment tie-in?
It happened a long time before, didn't it? Like 2 seasons prior?
No, this was season 29 as well, so it would have only been like a year at most.
They would have been working on it. Well, if there was a reference, we didn't see it.
Yeah, it almost would have made it better if that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
the case.
Would have made more sense.
Yeah, and I Won't Be Home for Christmas, which we did recently with Oscar. The Girl Code, where Lisa develops that AI which becomes sentient.
So close to having a good idea on that one. It pisses me off.
Oh, that's an episode which starts great and then just fucking tanks.
Ah.
And also Diggs, where Bart gets into falconry with Daniel Radcliffe special guest starring.
That sounds great.
That sounds like a Mad Lib.
Yeah. Oh, no, that is true.
Bart gets into occupation with celebrity.
Yep.
That surely has to be the whiteboard at the Simpsons HQ
Quite
nowadays.
For
yeah.
real. And also Brick Like Me, which we covered very early in the podcast, where they do like a Lego episode of The Simpsons, which, again, looks fucking beautiful. They did so many good 3D renders of The Simpsons as Lego, but the story just was not there.
And they already perfected doing Homer in 3D like so many decades ago.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Ooh, we're out of cakes.
All right. And before we move on, is that reputation justified?
Is that reputation justified?
Probably. All right. Dennis Perkins of the AV Club.
Old mate, how's he doing?
He's the wild card. And
I'm worried.
he gave this episode a B-,
Of course he did.
which
Ooh.
is for AV Club like just above a participant.
Okay.
Like might convert into
I was
a
going to say
bronze.
that feels high.
Yeah. Well, they rate harsh. Like,
Yeah, I used to read their Walking Dead reviews all the time because it was like, I'm sure this show is shit. Please, someone else back me up on this. And the AV Club always delivered.
yeah. Oh, I've got my thoughts on that. But so yeah, this is just like above a participant for them. This is probably like a bronze. Yeah.
All right.
So he goes to say, The Simpsons' longevity means that there's more mediocre Mo than certified Mo classics, but King Lear manages to mine Springfield's least reputable barkeep for enough quality Mo to at least remind us why he's always been one of the show's most reliable side characters.
See, yet again, Dennis Perkins of the AV Club, your reviews do not match your rankings.
Yeah, very true.
He is such a wild card.
I know. Even to himself.
Yeah.
Like, wakes up, which Dennis am I today?
Which Dennis will I be today? All right, it's time to go to the teens era, where we are going to watch the season 19 episode Dial N for Nerder. We will be back.
This doesn't sound bad at all.
Wait for it. And we are back, and we just watched our Teens Era episode, which was Season 19, Episode 14, Dial N for Nerder. First released in March of '08, and it was directed by Bob Anderson, written by Carolyn Omni and William Wright. In this episode, Bart and Lisa accidentally knock Martin Prince off a cliff, and they presume he is dead. But Nelson is on the case to find out what happened to Martin. And in the B story, Homer takes up snacking on bell peppers as a way to diet, but he mysteriously gains weight, and so Marge sends a TV crew on him to find out if he is cheating on his diet. What'd you think?
I'm really mixed on this one, to be perfectly honest.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did write down, it all comes to the payoff. I'm like, if that's going to really define how I feel about this. And I think the payoff sucks, but I like a lot of the rest of it.
Yeah.
Except that I really don't like the Homer story.
Yeah.
There were elements of the Homer story that I liked.
Yeah,
Again,
I think they just exposed that, yes, he is cheating way too early and then do nothing with it for ages.
Yeah.
There's 3 more scenes before they get to it.
I had more lols written down from this one. So it's almost like you can track the actual descent of the show just from the episodes that we've watched today.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one was like a really good indication of like this episode might actually have gotten ranked worst if we watched a better episode first, but because we had the point of comparison, this one.
Because I walked away from this one thinking I liked it more than the last one, but maybe that'll change in discussion. Who knows?
Yeah. No, it was an episode of just very, it was just such a mixed bag.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right about the Homer story. And yeah, I'm going to jump on that and say, for better or worse, what stood out to me was this whole Homer plot, which... yeah, just reinforcing what you were saying, like, became less about the TV show and more about lol wacky Homer eating stuff.
Okay, well, it went from Marge concerned about Homer's diet to the TV show to Homer wacky eating.
Yeah.
The payoff to that wasn't great, really, at all. It bugged me a little bit.
No.
It ends with Marge just yelling at this reality TV show for doing the job she hired them to do.
Yeah.
Those bastards. But it kind of redeems it when he's like, okay, well, you've given me a lot to think about. And now I'm going to make you look crazy in the editing bay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But even that just brings to attention, like, there were a lot of jokes in this episode about women be crazy.
Yeah.
And, like, it was a weirdly... I know I'm sort of outing myself as the triggered leftist in the room here, but like it was a weirdly unwoke episode in a lot of ways. There were just lots of little points where there's something about this episode that just had a meanness to it that didn't seem funny, even towards like Martin particularly. Like obviously, Martin's a hilariously big nerd. Like that's been the joke for a long, long time, but it was quite cruel.
Yeah. And even in the end where, like, Nelson, like, which is, like, an interesting turn for him to take to be the detective of this episode.
Yeah,
the second he presents himself as alive, he's just a dick to him again.
Yeah.
Which, again, you could have redeemed by having going, well, I did all this work and you were alive the entire freaking time, Dorcas.
Or just, oh, I'm glad to have you back in my life again.
Yeah, and then punch him.
Yeah. But going back to the moment that stood out to me was Homer just getting it on with this fucking rotisserie lamb.
Yeah.
Which I can't say I wasn't laughing because I was.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel great about it.
Yeah, it was weird. It's like, what was the classical music they put to it again? I can't remember now.
Which is like, why?
I thought for
Why
a second it was going to be, I don't know if it's better or worse. It was going to be like the Clockwork Orange where it's
Oh, yeah.
And it's
the Pizza Hut delivery
it's the
song.
sex scene from that movie. But that would have been such a weird cut because it's Clockwork Orange and I don't want to be thought about that. But then
Oh, I just thought of a worse one.
Yeah?
Because I was thinking, no, it should have been an actually sexy track like Careless Whisper or something like that. But then I actually thought, no, it's Lamb. So put You're Much Too Young. Like that one. Do that.
But and it was a weird montage, but I got the kind of awkward laugh out of it. But then there's that weird bit where he calls it up.
Yeah.
And it's got its own house with photos of him lying on
which conceptually is funny that there's a framed picture of Homer in this half-eaten lamb's house, but also it was...
Did he buy it?
We should clarify
room?
also that just to remove you from the horror of what Elliot just said. Like this is a half-eaten lamb kebab, like a kebab stand, not just a half-eaten lamb.
I do like the beginning where he's walking into a motel with like what looks like a blonde woman in a trench coat, and then just takes off the wig and the trench coat, and it's just the rotisserie lamb underneath.
Yeah, that was a great reveal, and like even the passionate, dare I say, love eating. But then he takes it in the shower, and that felt like a step.
Well, first he's nude with it in front of a mirror.
Oh, that's right.
That was the moment that we all, because that made me think less of like this sleazy hotel scene and more of like Silence of the Lambs. Oh, that was inappropriate.
Shh, baby, no, don't talk.
Would you fuck me?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, no.
I could almost like the shower bit if he'd been like getting all greasy. I was like, oh, I know what to do about this. He's in the shower like scrubbing the grease off as it's getting. But to have the nude scene first, it made it feel really like. All I can think is, what part is touching his wang right now? I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, like they took the joke to this great extreme that was very funny, and then they take it that one step further where it's just like. Oh, it's just a bit. It's not gross or anything. It's just like that's just a bit too far.
I'm just don't make me think about the mechanics of it.
Yeah,
but it's just like too far. Where it's just okay, I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I never want to utter the words. How much lamb grease is on your penis right now? And yet that's what I was
thinking. And you
thinking.
didn't have to.
And yet everyone must suffer with me.
Yeah, and look, as uncomfortable as it made me, god damn it, I was laughing the whole fucking time.
I think at the very least it got an awkward, as in the what the hell kind of laugh out of it. So.
Yeah. How about you, David? What's a moment from this episode that sounds out to you for better or worse?
Bell peppers, piping cold, crunchy and bland. Like that's great. That's very good.
Yeah, it's just an interesting side to this opening segment that all of a sudden bell peppers are just a common snack around the place.
Yeah. No, it was pretty funny. It was definitely redeemed from the Martha Stewart alike, who was like, bell peppers, bell peppers, bell peppers.
Yeah. Betsy Bidwell.
Yeah.
Betsy Bidwell, who had no reason to be in their home.
Nope.
Or in the episode.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, why did they have to have her there? Why wasn't it just like an infomercial or something?
Have Marge go, according to this new diet, they say bell peppers are a great replacement food. You don't need to have a specialist yelling about it.
Yeah, it was a weird palport of Martha Stewart, and it wasn't a guest actor. There were no guest stars in this episode. So it was very unnecessary.
I think the bell pepper was all the extra guest star we needed.
That was the true star of the show.
Yeah.
There were 2 points that I think stood out just because of like the fact that they elicited no laughs from any of us, and I think that said something, was one of the cameramen at one point was saying, I used to do, stuff that meant something. And he had a joke about migrant workers, which again leads to that kind of meanness sort of thing that I was talking about. But the director of the doco turned around and said, we're all whores, okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, the writers are becoming self-conscious.
Yes.
No, I imagine the writers like, people aren't watching The Simpsons. What are they watching? They're watching all this reality crap. Damn those whores.
They're the real villains.
They're the real whores.
The other one was the documentary director saying that his dad was the Reverend Billy Graham Jr., and all of us were silent. Like,
Yeah, okay.
Like, what was that joke
I'm
even?
guessing it's meant to be like, I'm always a disappointment to this person who's really high up and wonderful, and I can't possibly. I don't know. Is that a real person? I don't fucking know.
I'm going to find out.
Thank you very much.
Googling on the index.
Googling on the index.
Googling on the index.
But
with your friend Dave.
While he's Googling that, I just wanted to bring up something that I had to quickly Google to double check was correct. But there's a bit of where Homer's saying, I have to go to work, I have to go count the atoms, conservation of mass, it's the law. And there's a law in physics of the conservation of mass.
Oh.
And I was like, well done, I see what you did there. I'm just going to Google it so I make sure I don't look like an idiot.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the writers did the same thing.
Yeah, but it's delivered in that way that Homer doesn't think he's saying anything.
Yeah, but he actually is.
Yeah.
William Franklin Graham Jr. was an American evangelist, a prominent evangelical Christian figure, and an ordained Southern Baptist minister who became well-known internationally in the late 1940s. That's a cutting-edge reference for season 19 of The Simpsons. One of his biographers has placed him among the most influential Christian leaders of the 20th century. Fellas, does that joke land?
Well, we don't live in the Bible Belt.
Or in the 40s.
Well, just like on what you were saying, it's a standard that no one could ever expect to keep, I guess, but also,
Yeah.
How about you, BT? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
I was going to say Nelson being the detective, but then you said it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yep.
So Nelson being the detective, it shouldn't have worked, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
I wanted more of it.
Yeah, I was like,
Me
it
too.
was like, why does he give a crap? But then, there's a great joke where he's like, something doesn't add up. And the other bully's like, hey, he's trying to add. And they're just punching him. He's just not even flinching.
Yeah.
And yeah, I know, something about it was just really compelling. It worked really, really well.
No, I love that scene where, the bullies are wailing on him, especially I've been playing a lot of Pokemon lately, and just in my mind, the little text box appeared, it's not very effective. The bullies use Rage Attack.
And definitely, like, the best visual gag is him going to the scene of the crime and raising the magnifying glass. And it sits on that for a second. Well, that's enough burning ants. Time to investigate.
It was a beautiful moment.
But yeah, I agree with you, David. I wanted more of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the stuff where you could have chopped a lot of out of the Homer story and it wouldn't have detracted much and given more to Nelson.
And especially at the end where that lute music is playing and it's driving them crazy. And you expect it's going to be Martin who's just playing it, but it's just Nelson, who somewhere out of nowhere has learned how to play the lute. And it's just like, that's all I needed to see. Well, you did pretty well, but you made one mistake, yelling out that you did it.
I'm sure this occurred to you guys, though, but I was sitting through that last sequence in the butterfly tent.
Wondering how many people could possibly be hiding in this one tent.
No, actually, but that's great. Good. No, I was like, this is funny because The Simpsons have already done the Telltale Heart with the same characters and they're just rehashing it. This is just Lisa doing Telltale Heart again.
Yeah.
The Telltale Lute.
Yeah.
Yeah, with her guilt driving her insane and everything. And although with the story, I did like how both Bart and Lisa were kind of responsible.
Yeah, and I actually really like the turn where it's not Bart struggling with the guilt, and then he actually says, oh, well, I better go turn myself in. And Lisa has that great little flash forward to her in prison as an accomplice, where even like the framed newspaper headline on the wall has like in small font, Bart kills Martin, then large font, Lisa accomplice!
Yeah. Lisa helped.
Very good.
Yeah, so it drives that motivation, and you can kind of buy it. I really like that kind of flip where you think it's going to be Bart is trying to get away with it and Lisa's like nagging him, but no, I like the turn of that.
Yeah, and it's just such a shame that it culminated in such a lackluster ending, and like especially going back to the whole Nelson thing. He didn't feel properly motivated from the start, but I liked that, he just totally went along with it and did this detective thing. But then, once it was revealed, it wasn't, we were saying he didn't have that moment of, finally you're in my life, now I can bully you again. And that's just what was missing. Like, and just quickly on the lute, that piece was Prelude in C minor for lute by Johann Sebastian Bach.
Good old
yes,
Bach.
one of Bach's best lute pieces.
Oh, yeah. In my top 5 for sure.
I mean, if only in the C minor key, though. I mean, we're talking about in any key. Well,
sub parentheses. So, play count. How many times before tonight have you seen this episode?
I feel like I've seen it the once, so I shall say the once.
0.
Yes. I don't think I've seen it a lot. Maybe 3 times. Like
that's a lot, Elliot.
Yeah,
he does this. It's weird.
For my average viewing, it's low, but
yeah.
Sometimes like, I hate this episode. I've only seen it 47 times.
Well, I think we were talking before the episode that one of the only late Simpsons episodes that I've seen was Apocalypse Cow, which is from this same season.
Yeah.
And I've only seen that once, and I don't think I've seen another, post, season 15 episode ever.
Yeah, which is weird because that cow one is like 10 years old now. Like, isn't that weird?
It's really weird because I wish it was 0 years old.
So how about some of the wacky parts of this episode?
It was a wacky episode, wasn't it?
Yeah, where do we begin with the whack?
I shouldn't have liked, but I really did like Police Chief Wiggum when he's like discovered the body and he's like, we found his pocket protected. We know his name is Martin Prince. His pocket was protected, but the rest of him was not.
Yeah.
And then he's like holding up the Claude shirt. He's like, you think this would fit little Ralph? He's like, Chief, that's evidence. Yeah, but after it's evidence, it's a shirt again, right?
Yeah.
I like this. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
The pocket protector gag was good because, again, that's actually like, that's a play on language, and then the rest of it is just, I'm a bad cop.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, we know. We do know.
I think I just like the sentence, but after it's evidence, it's a shirt again, right?
Yeah. Like after it's evidence, it's drugs again, right? Mm-hmm. And I kind of got a chuckle when he goes, aren't you meant to inform the family first? That's what I'm doing. Turn to camera, just smiling. Like,
I think like there was a really clever piece. Like, I love it when people do really, really clever visual gags that are a dumb joke.
Yeah.
I love that. And they're showing Martin's memorial video, which is just clips of him from different episodes.
Yeah.
And someone Jimbo in the background does the shadow puppet of picking his nose. The teacher says, "Jimbo, stop that!" And he pulls his finger away just as Martin's finger comes up and like picks his own nose. And it's like, that's awesome. That's very good.
Oh, that was such a great misdirect, yeah. And that was set to Sarah McLachlan's "I'll Remember You."
But before that, the band plays like a sad version of the Rocky theme.
Yeah, that's
which
weird.
I'm like, am I missing?
How very Martin.
Is it because he fell off a rocky embankment? I don't get it.
Maybe. Yeah, odd musical choice.
I feel angry you said that. I'm just angry about that.
I'm angry I said embankment when I'm pretty sure I meant cliff.
Yeah. It was clearly a crevasse.
What am I?
Learn your cliff terminology. And, of course, like, Homer's storyline is leading to a lot of the whack in this episode. And even Marge, where, like, she's starting to become suspicious that he's cheating on the diet, hires the TV crew. He used to snack off in the bathroom, and I was all right with it. But now he's going out and
Yeah, that was...
snack off in the bathroom.
Milking the joke. And again, it's all puns. It's all puns.
Homer goes to an all-pudding restaurant where they have 300 new flavors every day.
That was good. I like that. Pudding on the Ritz.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I'm just a fan of pudding.
And the grape outside the Springfield National Park, now even smaller.
Yeah.
But it looked like exactly the same park. I mean, maybe there's just not that many ways that you can draw a park, but it looked like exactly the same park from You Only Move Twice.
Yeah.
Like they just used the same animation.
Yeah, a couple of spare stills, why not use it?
And also a small animal getting attacked by a bird and just a slightly different resolution.
Yeah, I really wish there was a different ending joke for that.
I didn't like Lisa interrupting nature. She knows better than that.
Yeah.
It was another just sort of mean thing. And that was definitely less mean than the weird gay jokes at Martin's expense or the weird sexist jokes. And the one that I wasn't even sure, it's like, I don't know if this joke is bad or not, but it feels like you're trying to be edgy, which was when she said, "Give me an Indian burn. Don't make me say Indian again."
Yeah.
It felt like they were covering their bases. To be entirely fair, I kind of like it because I don't know what else to call that.
I mean, I was about to say, it's obviously a Chinese burn. I was like,
Yeah.
Editing Bay Elliot Jay here to say that I've found some more PC terms for an Indian burn from all around the world. So in parts of the USA they call it a snake bite, in Hungary they call it a policeman's glove for some reason, in certain parts of Europe they call it stinging nettle, and in other parts they call it needles or some variation. In Germany it's like 1,000 stinging needles, but my favourite has to be Kuma Makara from Finland, which translates to hot sausage. Anyway, back to the show.
Yeah, in this scene where, like, there were a few good jokes there, like, Dr. Hibbert, he loves pranks, and he just...
I hate pranks. I thought that was fantastic. It's like, it's another one of those, it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's a dumb joke, but it's perfectly pitched.
And for a guy who usually pops and goes,
Yeah. No, pranks, that's where he draws the line.
And that's the first and only time that, oh, no, Dr. Hibbert popped up later, but pointlessly.
Yeah.
But it was the first and only time he popped up in the episode, which also, like, really stuck out to me after we've just watched this, full season 29 episode.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Maggie's in this show.
Oh, yeah, there's another wacky bitch. She's into online poker, apparently.
She's into literally 5 frames of this episode. Like, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy. They do forget her. And you know what we were saying in the last episode where Marge and Homer are out dealing with Moe's family. Where are the kids? And something. And yeah, they always forget about Maggie. Like this.
We know Homer's babysitting technique. Put him in the basement with a laundry basket and a rock on top
Oh
of it.
dear God.
We've seen it before and it's been funny.
Yeah. But I did like Maggie sort of quickly closing the tab and had the Elmo fucking website up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was back in the
really
days
good.
when mild levels of child abuse were still funny.
Yeah. What an age we used to live in.
Yeah, before Family Guy flogged that dead Meg.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, just on Family Guy as well. Like, we're talking about like a lot of the jokes that didn't work, and I feel like this episode has a lot of that lol so random sort of
Yeah.
Family Guy style humor. And
Oh, the Columbo ending. Ugh.
what the fuck?
Yeah, that kind of came out of nowhere.
That's a reference the audience will know.
Along with the Reverend Billy Graham
Yeah,
Jr.
Jesus. Who is this writer. I want to see the rest of their oeuvre because their references are so niche. They're making themselves very happy.
Yeah. Well, I don't know William Wright, but Carolyn Omany is actually one of my favorite sort of late era Simpsons writers.
Right.
She's penned a lot of great episodes. There's a great HD one called Halloween of Horror, which is like a non-Treehouse but Halloween episode. Ooh. It's really good. Yeah, you should definitely being a horror fan, you should check that one out.
Also, her name is fun to say.
Omany.
What
do we... the...
Anomaly of Omany.
Yeah, the anomaly of Omany. So how about the heart of this episode? Did you guys feel any bumps?
I wouldn't call it bumps, but the stress and the, walls closing in, the paranoia of the kids, yeah. A little bit of that. But from like the Marge Homer, where it theoretically should have been, no.
I felt the telltale heart.
Yeah.
Because actually, now that I think about it, it makes even less sense. Like, okay, Marge wants to put Homer to get on this diet because he's, a little lacking it in the bedroom. And she feels like
bedroom pizzazz.
What the fuck, Marge?
That's as kinky she gets.
You mean like
verbally.
he has been the entire time you've been married? Like it's taken you 20 years to notice that, he's a large man.
Yeah. But, that opening scene was just so drawn out. Oh, I'm fat and tired.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
But, wants to give him some bell peppers to get some pepper back in his bell.
Nice.
Sorry, I'm very happy with that one.
That was the sound of a swish.
Yeah.
I don't care that no one laughed. I was overjoyed.
The full alley-oop and the judges on the side have just gone, still only 1 point though. Like,
and I'm like, but I twirled and everything.
Broke the
point.
glass.
Yeah. He broke the glass. It's no points. We need that point to pay for the repairs.
Yeah.
Just give me an entirely new basketball hoop. What have you done? Yep.
Oh, and I forgot to mention another bit of wackiness where Martha Stewart, whatever, has the clamps or whatever, and he's got Homer's fat, and then he turns into Stretch Armstrong briefly.
Full body horror moment where Cronenberg... Again, just like a joke that does not pay off. And it made me think of way back when there was like, it's a cartoon, doesn't have to make sense, and then the other Homer walks past the window. Like, that's great. This one was just...
That's in passing,
Yeah, that was subtle. It was quick. This one was overt and
it
drawn
made you
out.
think about it.
Yeah.
You don't want to think.
It was as drawn out as Homer's love handle in that
It
moment.
was drawn out as my point.
Yeah.
Which is, that when we get to the end of this and he's been cheating on his diet, then she should be like angry about it because obviously he doesn't care enough about their sex life to try and make an attempt at it. That's what started this whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's also sneaking food behind her back, which is another betrayal.
And he lied to her.
Yeah.
You know what I've realized after this 20 minutes? You're a terrible husband, but you're my terrible husband. That's kind of the whole heart of the episode. And that's shithouse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and she tries to turn it around like it's like the problem of the reality show in the end. And
yeah, it's totally their fault that, again, you asked them to follow him.
yeah, like them exploiting their misery didn't ever really feel like the point.
No, it was just misery.
Yeah.
In this episode and in the Series 29 episode that we watched, the jokes about him being an alcoholic were literally just mentions that he's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's like, this is not funny, guys. Like, there's ways to do this joke that will land, and you're not doing it. You're just painting a picture of a really terrible family situation.
For real. Yeah, and the other thing I want to say about the heart is, the ending of the Martin story, which, it felt like the second that they revealed he was alive, they just went for joke after joke after joke. Even, like, the reveal of how he stayed alive with, extra strength, mighty tidy whities or whatever.
Wedgie-proof underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like they were going for joke after joke, and none of it, I don't know, none of it was really
It was a
meaningful.
flurry of blows, none of which hit.
Like his underwear, it was too much of a stretch. Zing. That's
Nice.
why they pay me the big
See,
bucks.
that was an example of getting an alley-oop that didn't break the thing. So, done.
But ultimately, did this feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Columbo.
Yeah. It was half an episode of Columbo, half an episode of Cheaters.
It felt like a weirdly dark episode of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
It felt like an angsty teenager writing fan fiction, and then their friends like, "Oh, put jokes about salsa in a briefcase." But like, there were suicide jokes. There were this weird sort of like anti-gay, anti-worm, and I'm not like trying to jump up and down and be like, "This episode was." I was just like, the tone of it was all wrong. Like, all of those jokes had the wrong target attached to them.
Yeah.
And I think one of the jokes that landed for me was the woman on the reality TV show ad saying, "I've tried everything except talking to my husband." And I was like,
Help me, TV show.
help me, TV show. But it was like, it feels like the writers really should be, kind of like taking their own advice there.
Yeah. No, totally. But character integrity as well. Do we feel like the characters felt like themselves?
Again, everyone except Marge.
Yeah?
Yeah, her
Marge
motivations
did not
just
feel like herself.
flips entirely. Like if she had felt more exploited during this whole run, focus less on Homer eating and more Marge with the TV show.
Yeah.
And maybe she's seeing all these other people who are horrible cheaters who are actually cheating on their spouse, whereas Homer's just cheating on his diet.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it maybe gives her a bit more perspective. It's, not flawless, but hey, it's something.
I'm certain you guys have already talked about like the fan response to Marge a lot of the time and how like people can sort of be quite, anti-Marge for whatever reason.
Who would be anti-Marge?
I know, I don't understand. But yeah, for the same reason that like people, going back to Breaking Bad, people hated Skylar White.
Yeah.
Or people,
Right.
People find reasons to hate female characters so that they can yell at them on the internet. It's a weird sensation. But like watching both of these episodes, I'm so mortified by Marge's Stockholm syndrome. Like, I just want her out. I just want her to be out of there. It makes me sick,
Or at least
honestly.
when you go on a journey like this, give her a reason to stay on. Like, just something, anything.
Because they used to show these good sides of Homer's behavior. Like when Homer went and got a divorce, it was so he could, pull
Try again,
ridiculous, so he could try again. Yeah, exactly. So there were redeeming facets.
Or even pull, a joke into it where, when he blabs about her elbow thing and she kicks him out of the house and he comes back and says, I thought of something I can give you that no one else can. Complete and utter dependence.
Yeah. That's a good payoff for the joke.
Yeah.
Like his only redeeming facet in this episode is
He
he's there.
needs her so bad that he'll do anything to stay with her. And I think that weirdly, it subverts the trope and also becomes it. It's weird.
Well, yeah, because in this teen era, like, it sort of felt like they were getting over having to, build up all these story moments and just like, oh, we've done it a million times before. The implication is there that there's reasons that they love each other, but you kind of need to reinforce it, and I don't felt like that was done
If you're going to
here.
run the they really need each other after all story, you have to finish it.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, don't do that plot line.
Yeah.
Not for real.
It's too serious, like to just palm off as, oh, it's the B plot. It doesn't need a big resolution. Like it's too major.
That's incredibly lazy.
Yeah, especially after that kebab scene.
They put more love and passion into that kebab scene than they did the reconciliation scene. So what the hell?
Oh, just
Someone was like, hey, have you ever wanted to like take a kebab to a motel room? Yeah, buddy, I really do. And they just shared that intimate secret with each other.
I can imagine that episode of Parks and Rec where I just saw in that Greek restaurant a bit of meat spinning in the window. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go buy the whole thing.
Yeah, someone definitely discovered something about themselves watching this episode.
I hope this doesn't awaken anything. Triple reference. Yeah, the last thing I want to say about integrity is like I felt like Bart and Lisa were behaving like themselves, like despite the darkness of the story. And yeah, that's the thing I had to keep reminding myself. Oh, this is pretty funny. Wait, a kid died. Like it's a surprisingly dark thing for them to tackle.
Kind of agree with you that it feels like someone had written an episode where Martin dies and stays dead.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, you can't do that. Hang on, I'm going to rewrite some stuff. Also, Maggie's playing poker.
Well, it's actually interesting. In Spain, they had like the advertisement of the episode being like Martin Prince dies.
Right.
And like apparently, yeah, people were getting on social media and going, what the fuck? I can't believe they're killing him. And like R.I.P. Martin and like, yeah, all this stuff. And then they actually watched the episode and was like, oh, this isn't like Maude.
No, but I think that was obvious from the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
well, the fact they don't find a body. And,
yeah, well, even just the moment he fell off the cliff, I was like, that is hilarious and brutal, but there's absolutely no way they've killed off Martin.
Yeah. And I like how it was started by, Sideshow Mel's bone. That was a clever way to tie it in with the whole...
Yeah, I forgot about that whole bit where he's got like a very Bob Ross painting, taking a nap, and he's got the whistle pop in his mouth.
He's sleeping with a slide
And
whistle.
Bart slides the bone out, and his hair just falls in these long, luxurious locks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Marge puts down her hair.
Yeah.
Like, Sideshow Mel and Marge, put your hair down.
Yeah, all that was just visual gag, and it worked really well. And one audio gag of the whistle pop.
Yeah.
You know the reason that, like, you know from the beginning that Martin can't possibly be dead is the situation with Maude was that it sort of like ostensibly on the outside could be looked at a little bit as Homer's fault,
Yeah,
but it was
but
more an
nowhere near.
accident.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This was very clearly Bart and Lisa's fault.
Yeah,
so there's,
exactly. So there's
there's
no
no
way.
that you can make them like irretrievably child murderers in this show. You
Even
can't
accidentally,
do it.
they,
Yeah, imagine that.
They keep referencing it later. Remember when we killed Marge? Martin. Oh my God, we killed a kid.
Jeez, I feel bad about this. Don't worry about it.
We're going to go to an alternate universe where there's another Martin. Get that Martin. Bring him back. No one will know the difference.
Every day I eat breakfast 3 feet away from Martin's grave. But yes or no, would you watch this one again?
Probably not. I mean, like, one of the weird things that occurred to me was, so where we were watching this, it popped up with the ratings in the corner between the ad breaks, and it was the American rating system where it says TV, PG, DSV. And every time that popped up, I was like, man, Sequest DSV was a good show. And that was like my whole thought process.
There's a show I've not seen or thought about in 80 years.
Yeah, dude.
And to bring it back to Simpsons, one of my favourite lines is, "Oh, we're going to see if the dog from Frasier raised the dolphin from Sequest." How about you, BT? Would you watch this one again?
Man, I am so split. I want to watch it for the Nelson detective stuff and a few other bits and pieces, because I quite like the A story for the most part. I didn't like the payoff, but I liked a lot of everything else, and I could kind of nap through the... Oh, man, I'm torn.
Hangover test?
Nothing's right, I'm torn. I'm going to say I would watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, look, I'm not racing to it or anything.
Yeah, but I think it's just enough that it might compel me to it.
Yeah. So look, maybe watch it again. We might put it in a playlist. What other Simpsons episodes share some sort of thematic elements in this? If you're putting together a Simpsons playlist, this one's a part of it. What are some other episodes that sit side by side with it?
I think I've made my point on this, man.
Yeah, the Telltale Heart. yeah, murder episodes, Who Shot Mr. Burns, and
we've got some other Bart Lisa detective stuff. Oh, this is the other side of the law. Interesting. Put this with when Bart goes down the well.
Ah, yep. Or Bart the Murderer, where they suspect Bart of killing Skinner, yeah.
Yeah.
And on the Homer diet side of things, just Homer binge eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, king-size Homer.
Being Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah.
If you really want to just hate yourself.
Yeah, for real. BT, what would you change about this episode?
I would make it better.
Good start.
Yeah, I think that's just going to be on the mainstay from now on. Change a lot of that A story. I think I was on the money when I mentioned earlier, have less of the B story focusing on Homer and have it more focusing on Marge and this film crew.
Yeah.
I think there's more to get out of that. At least that then makes them the bad guy for that payoff. Hopefully it lets her have some idea. Like maybe even if it's more showing that Homer has a problem rather than he just is lying to her because he can. It's, again, maybe not great, but it's better than what we got. And I think because the B plot's my main problem with this one. And then just, change how Martin survived to something less stupid. Just, that very last sequence in the butterfly tent, just slow down the rapid pace jokes. Instead of getting 50 average as crap jokes, get 3 good ones.
Yeah. How about you, David? What would you like to change?
Yeah, I'm really stuck on that film crew now, hey, because I've worked in reality TV as well, and if they're going to make the point at the end that the film crew aren't trying to help the relationship, they're looking for disaster, but like across the episode, all they really do is their job.
Yeah.
They're nowhere near as manipulative as like actual reality TV show is, so if you're going to make the joke, go there.
Yeah, especially with the actual show Cheaters, like what they're referencing. Like, that was a very exploitative show. And if that's their point, well, fucking make it.
Yeah, and I've worked on far less exploitative shows than something like Cheaters, and I still see the way that they, they have to manipulate and talk around people to bring them to the kind of, emotional moments that they need to really make that episode, like, blow up. So, take that, go further with it. And I think other than that, I'd just, probably slap one of the writers in the mouth and just be like, you're being a dick.
Yeah.
Okay? If you're going to be a dick, at least be a funny dick. You're not being a funny dick, you're a dick.
Yeah. Such a dick.
Why you gotta be such a dick?
Be a sick cunt, don't be a shit cunt.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, what I'd change. Yeah, look, I feel like how Martin survived was just a tale of convenience, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I really wish that they'd sort of wrote the ending, more into the start and leading up to it.
Yeah.
I wish there was some more clues to sort of gather from it. And like in the Bart murdering Skinner episode.
I was going to say, yeah.
When they give the explanation for how he survived, you had all these things sort of coming together at the end, and that's not what it felt like.
Well, that and show, don't tell.
Yeah.
Like, I like the joke of, oh, it took me about an hour to make a raft, and then 3 days to make this grass skirt.
Yeah.
So have him, like, trying to make the grass skirt, and it keeps falling off.
Oh, for real, there was a joke there to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look, I'm tempted to say, yeah, piss off the whole Homer storyline entirely. Like, what you were saying about the last episode, David, about it needing a B story. I felt like this episode also needed a B story. I think Homer's...
A Beata story.
Ooh.
A Beata story, yes. I liked where it started with the bell pepper and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, I just didn't like where it ended, and yeah, Marge's reasoning was so weak.
You're in a huge danger zone when you as, you know, a person working on this show, you know for a fact that, like, the major public response to the show is that it's gotten worse with age.
Yeah.
And so what do you do but show a bunch of clips from the time your show was better?
Yeah.
Silly move.
No, absolutely.
And that stuff of, like, you know, that stuff of Martin dressed as the fairy prince. I can't remember the exact episode, but I remember
I think it was
loving...
Oberon.
Oberon, the fairy.
Yeah, and I remember loving that because it just lent into what a massive dag he is, and it's gorgeous. Like, it was funny in context, and again, it just reminded me of how when you paint Martin as innocent and ignorant of the way he comes across to other people, like in the, you know, the gags where Lisa said, he's not going to get it, but it's like, that's good. That's good
Like,
stuff.
yeah, I'll dust, you blow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you blow, Martin. He's like, he's not going to get it.
Yeah, I like that. But when they went to the return bite, it's one of the major homos. You're one. So gross.
Yeah,
Bad and minor.
really nasty. And yeah, just like, you're just making me think of times that you've done this better.
Yeah, no, for real. All right, BT, do you have any other notes?
Yep. So I do like Homer's line where it's like, Marge's like, I got you this new diet. It's like, oh, but I have all those other diets I haven't finished.
Yep.
I thought that was excellent wordplay there. And just the very end, Lisa really misses a line where she's like, I'm used to being a goody two-shoes, but today I realized that underneath are some very dark socks. And I'm like, no, very dark souls, Lisa. The line should be very dark souls.
Because
Or just lean into the shittiness of it. So it's like, you know, I've always been a goody two-shoes, but today I learned what it is to be a baddie two-shoes.
Yeah, something else like, no, dark socks. You got the pun of souls,
I know.
right?
We were talking about Dark Souls earlier. Was that all your note? Sorry?
Sorry, now I'm thinking about Dark Souls, but spelled differently, so that's all just shoe-based enemies.
You're fighting Mo and his family.
Yeah, like being an excellent shoe tire, trying to tie a really
Stop
hard...
looking at your shoes.
The puns are killing me.
How about you, David? Any other notes?
A few things I listed were the, like, when she said, I used to weigh blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I bet no man would touch you. And
Yeah, that was
yeah,
weirdly
and the
mean.
weird suicide joke of, you know, like Bart looking like he was about to hang himself. And yeah,
Yeah, that was dumb as well. Like, I'm putting up these lights so these butterflies can hatch. Which they do at a time they were going to anyway because Martin's tape record, like, so he didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah. And I really wanted, like, this is probably the worst late Simpsons reference that I have, but
Yeah.
I wanted those butterflies to be like the screaming caterpillars. Like, I think that would have been a nice little tie-off after all of the loot music.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of missed opportunities, but more than that, they just, every time they cashed in on a passing gag, they did it so snidely that I just couldn't stand them.
Yeah. Oh, and they wasted a bit of time with that butterfly getting caught in Lisa's shoe. That whole
Yeah,
bit.
that was confusing. I didn't know what the point of that
So-
was.
Yes, you've murdered a child already. Smash the butterfly.
in for a penny, all right?
That butterfly knows too much.
It was the butterfly, I tell you. Time for my final notes. Yeah, it's interesting that we've been calling them bell peppers along with the episode when, yeah, commonly in Australia we call them capsicums.
Yep.
But
And
yeah,
doesn't that just ring as the perfect punchline to a joke? Capsicum. That's a funny vegetable name.
Capsicum.
but I did like the capsicum cocktail. I was
Yeah.
trying to come up with a
Yeah.
pun for that, but yeah, capsicum capriosca? Almost. Anyway, but yeah,
Caps Riosca would be fine.
caps capriosca.
Yeah.
It's a mouthful, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do like, he blends it together, puts it in another capsicum for the shaker. Yeah.
Garnish with a little bit of capsicum.
Yep.
Pretty good. Yeah, what you were saying before, David, about they had like the big women be crazy moments. Yeah, Marge turning the bedroom upside down looking for Homer's snack thing. Yeah, I wasn't
Hey,
down
Mom,
with
have
that.
you gone insane?
Yeah.
Ah, is that what he said? I completely missed that part. Because I can appreciate her tearing apart the room, like so certain he's definitely cheating, but not able to prove it. I think frustration is fair enough there. But yeah, if Bart then said that, then no, that kills it.
Yeah, they have this weird thing where, to drown out the knowledge that they murdered Martin, Bart puts on the happy little elves as comforting. And then Kent Brockman says, we'll come back to Captain Kitty's comfort corner. And it's like, I know what you're doing because there's so many of those shows, like Krusty the Clown, which is just like wraparounds for other cartoons, but like...
Reach-arounds, I believe, is the term you're looking for.
Yeah. But yeah, we don't know who Captain Kitty is. Like, this is a weird fucking thing. And yeah, happy little elves are like already established.
Yep, just leave it as what's already canon.
Lisa is horrified at the idea that she'll only have Danielle Steele to read in prison.
Take that, Danielle Steele and Danielle Steele fans.
Got him.
What did she do? I'm not a big book guy.
Wrote some books that were probably not great. She's just another crime writer.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, that was one of those jokes where you could have had the Dugongs pick the ball out of the machine and it could have been any writer.
John Grisham or Matt Riley. Or...
Yep. Ursula Le Guin.
One of the jokes I did like with Homer's snacking was like he just fills up a buffet plate and then just like makes a soup out of it. Like cooking it on a little candle. I like that. And I also liked his salsa briefcase. Like,
yeah.
I kind of wish they did more where he closes it. It's just slowly leaking, and both he and the kids have something to hide. It almost worked. It just didn't quite.
The unease there was good.
Yeah,
like that was
just...
where that uneasy relationship worked. Right. All of these people are lying to each other, but the level of their lies is so dramatically different.
Massively skewed.
Yeah.
All right, it is time to rank this thing. BT, your turn to kick it off.
Man, I came in here split, and I'm still split.
Me too.
I am going to be kind for once, and I will give this a bronze. It is dangerously close to participant. I think I had just enough fun with Nelson playing detective that I would kind of want to watch those parts again. So for that, I'll watch the episode again. Yeah, I think it just makes it. Just.
How about you, David?
I was so tempted to fail this one, like on the basis of them just being so willfully unpleasant. Like, I don't want to act as if I'm being oversensitive about this. It's just like there are ways to pick on Martin.
Yeah.
And there are ways to pick on Marge. And there are ways that all of them work without it just feel like the writers are kind of crapping on their own creations.
Yeah.
And they're all sort of allowing for that to happen as voice actors as well. They're just going, all right, Martin would take all of this without a single, word in response. It's just, God, it's frustrating. And I really wanted to just say fail. But like the Martin stuff with him as a detective was very funny. The kebab stuff was very... Actually, you know what? Fuck it. Those are good clips. This episode's a fail.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's fair. I
Go
think,
to hell. That Columbo ending sold it for me.
That Columbo ending was weird. Yeah, I think by and large, I took those moments you're talking about as being the characters being mean to Martin rather than the show, but that's maybe my feeling on it. Maybe I'm just dead.
Just because it was so cumulative.
Yeah.
You'll get like the bully characters will be mean to Martin and Bart will be passingly mean to Martin, but Lisa will be nice to him or that sort of, and it just felt like it was just too much of a pile-on.
Yeah. No.
That it was just like, okay, this has stopped being funny now, and now you're just going, look at the shitty kid, or look at this little queermo, look at the chubby, like it becomes too much, and then I'm just like having high school flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm giving this one a participant. I was teetering on bronze, but I feel like this chat actually brought me down when just objectively looking at it. There was enough that irked me about this episode, despite the fact that I had like a lot of laughs throughout it. I think this is one of those examples of ones where it wasn't a participant that was flat throughout. It was one where the highs and lows sort of
Balanced
left me. Yeah, so discourse, three different rankings.
Why don't you watch it at home? See what you think.
So that'll make this episode a participant by way of split decision.
And I guess you win again, Elliot.
Yay, I win. I made the right rank. We've had this happen twice before with the episode Simpsorama, their Futurama crossover.
Oof.
Which, I was the fail on that. I fucking hated that one. That was so
Wasn't
bad.
that the one where Homer ended up fucking Leela or something?
No. No.
I watched a different internet episode.
Available now on Pornhub. No, fuck. It's too much.
Yeah.
Bart, spat into a time capsule that led to a bunch of Bart gremlins taking over the future.
I'm already angry.
Futurama cast came back into the past, and Bender and Homer get along because they like drinking, and Fry's barely in it.
It's bizarre, but it's not as horrifying as I would have thought.
Yeah.
I can't remember what my rank on that
You
was.
were the participant.
Okay.
Shag was the bronze. I was very angry at him for that. That was one of those episodes where you can hear me trying to convince the guest to rank something
Those are
against what
always
they
fun.
Yeah.
In here, you just going I'm unfriending this person.
And that was his final appearance on the podcast. And this also happened the other week with Phil, where we reviewed Oh Brother, Where Bart Thou, with Bart's adopted brother. They were kind of doing the Pepe story again, but
Yeah.
a little bit different with that giant Smothers Brothers sequence. And I was the bronze on that one. I didn't mind it.
That's just it's odd. Again, watch it at home. It's
This rings no bells for me.
Yeah.
You said Bart's adopted brother, and I immediately thought of the kid who made the pigeon rat.
Yeah.
Hugo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And before we move on to our classic episode, is that reputation justified?
And whose reputation are we justifying today?
Robert Canning of IGN.
Robert the Feather
Ooh.
Touch Canning.
Dude, everything on IGN's feather touch.
I know. He's in good company. They are birds of a feather. Touch.
Very good.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, feather touch indeed. He gave this episode 8.5 out of 10.
Jesus H. Macy.
It was his second highest rated episode of season 19, which isn't saying much. But anyway, 8.5 though. That's
Yeah.
like a great on IGN scale. He said, there wasn't one moment in the episode that didn't work.
I mean, I gave it the highest rank, and I don't agree with that.
The diet cheating storyline was great, silly fun. It was the turmoil that Bart and Lisa went through that really made this an outstanding episode.
Well, he's correct in the sense that, the image and the audio never desynced. But outside of that,
Oh, that is fantastic. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. He's wrong.
I agree with him on the turmoil bit, but that's about it.
All right, well, that does it for the teens era. Let's go bathe ourselves in the classic era now. And what a classic we've got lined up for you folks today. When are you listening to this podcast? Right in. Let's go watch Burns' Air.
Is that the one with Burns' air?
His air, not his hair.
The air?
The air. Not the air that he breathes.
Sometimes?
And we are back, and we just watched our final and classic episode for this evening, and what a classic it was. This was Season 5, Episode 18, Burns' Air. First released in April of 94, directed by Mark Kirtland, written by Jace Richdale, and it was his only Simpsons writing credit, despite being on the writing staff for many years. In this episode, you know this one. This is the one where Bart almost burns his air. What'd you guys think?
Oh, man. I had a big, stupid smile on my face the whole time.
is all I can say.
Yeah.
It's the breath of fresh air I desperately needed after those other two episodes. That was so wonderful.
Well, yeah, because, David, for the first 20 episodes of this podcast, we used to start with the classic episode and then end on the newer ones.
Yeah.
And I found that just left us in such a bad mood.
It's all deflated. We're out of energy. I'm like,
Yep. No, I feel comfortably buzzed. That was just so lovely. And I guess the nostalgia adds to it as well.
Yeah. So many classic moments and just so many times that, I was laughing before the joke happened.
Yep.
And
Yep. And just, again, that beginning is just so jam-packed, so heavy loaded with so many great moments.
yeah, I was actually surprised in this episode, how quick they actually get Bart into Burns' house. But then, they need to because there's so much story in this story.
It wasn't really a fake storyline to begin with. It just
No.
started with, the good stuff, went straight into it.
Yeah, they just got into it. If anything, just that Homer being a chimney sweeper half a second was
Yeah,
that. But
To get that joke of, this is tough, but the guys at the top work even harder. Cut to Mr. Burns in the bathtub wearing a top hat, eating
Extra fancy potato chips.
extra fancy potato chips is an image we've used several times in just group messages and stuff. Who's ready for some extra fancy potato chips?
So, starting with you, BT, what is a moment from this episode that stands out to you for better or worse?
Oh, man. I'm going to say it's all the bits that have a setup and a payoff to themselves. So, Mr. Burns is a little to the left so he can kick Bart in the butt with a boot.
Oh, with
And,
that just super elaborate double wheel sort of setup.
But then that pays off in the end where Bart's a little to the left.
Yeah.
And also a little touch I like, which is when the Millhouse is there and the train goes by and Bart's oh yeah, I won't be back for 3 hours and 40 minutes, so you get not only the joke from that, but you get the context that he's timed it. So he's he's bored before he even has that bit of, Milhouse, why don't you stay a little longer? You know he's having trouble actually having fun here because he just gets everything he wants, but doesn't have anything to do or anyone to hang out with. And it's there entirely in subtext.
And I took that as like a really subtle way to sort of show how Mr. Burns himself doesn't actually have an heir yet because, his wealth and whatever actually makes it difficult for him to have friends. And I think, that was a really clever and subtle way to just show that in Bart, how, this is him becoming a bit more Burns.
Yeah. You can just feel the joy in the construction of each gag and in the pathos of the characters as well. Like, there's a real attachment to everyone there, including Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Burns is a horrible old miser, but he's just so beautifully realized that you just love him nonetheless. He's clearly the villain, but he's such a lovable villain.
But he has those moments of heart where he's like, well, I guess I'll go back to my house, cavernous mansion, and wait until you reap the windfall of my death.
Yeah.
Just wait for the inevitable.
And even that's emotional manipulation, but it's all done so, like, it makes me think back to so many other episodes where, like, his eloquence is part of the joke. Like the fact that he calls Lenny as Leonard and Bartholomew.
Yeah.
And
you there, fill it with petroleum distillate, post haste.
Yeah, I always go back. I was free to wallow in my own crapulence, which is a thing my mother quotes all the time. Like this is how much it's ingrained in the culture, and like this episode is chock full of references that I've pulled out regularly.
Yeah. So, how about those references? What's a moment from this episode that stands out to you, for better or worse?
I think probably like my favorite standout from this watch was oh no, Smithers, you can't possibly be my heir. I have this elaborate plan for you. You're going to be buried alive with me.
Yeah, and not only does he have the model, but the model is terrified.
The little model of Smithers just screaming in his grave. Smithers like,
oh, goody.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is so much you can pull to quote from this episode, and fuck, what am I going to go with for the moment that stands out to me?
My name wasn't Wavy Gravy at all, and all this time I've been smoking harmless tobacco.
Yeah, if I could just chuck in another quick, it was just like a rapid 1, 2, 3 hit where he's like, Bart, I know you kids see me some kind of booger man, but and then he's got the, I see your milk's gone cold. Let me call it. It's like his milk was supposed to be room temperature. What was?
Yeah,
and then just has, oops, wrong button.
So he has 2 buttons there, one for calling the maid and one for trapping the guest.
Yeah, and so that's just a rapid bang, bang, bang of jokes.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
No, it is. And I'm going to say the moment of the episode that stands out to me is the auditions. Because, we get so many funny character moments of the kids as well. And Milhouse, oh my God, how many times have we quoted over the years, but my mom says I'm cool.
I am holding a notebook in my hand that Elliot passed to me when we sat down to watch the episodes. He's like, there's a couple of notebooks on the table. If you want to take notes, go ahead. So I reach down and there is this beautiful silver glitter notebook with Milhouse on the cover with my mom says I'm cool.
Yeah.
And immediately like that clicked. Like it's so great. It's so perfect. Also, may I say, of the auditions, that is how you pay out Martin Prince.
Yeah.
That is how you do it. You have him do some ridiculous, elaborate, I have no idea how people see me, and then someone walks in and punches him in the stomach.
Yeah.
Like,
who would love a rousing musical number?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is how you pay out Martin Prince. Thank you.
Like that being a reason for Nelson to get extra points as well.
Yeah.
Just Mr. Benz, thank you.
Again, all of these slightly more like malicious jokes, they just feel in character. They don't feel pointed. They're just there as like, nah, that works. It's a nasty little I'm a dickhead kind of gag. And it works in that context and not in the context of just like laying it on so thickly as they did in the last episode.
No, for real. And you see that as well with Lisa's audition where she's like trying to put together a well thought out, perfectly constructed argument.
In this fellow-centric society, I don't know what fellow-centric means, but no girls.
Yeah, and that shows like what a simple asshole is that would put in a no girls policy, you know? Oh, it's fantastic. But play count, how many times before tonight do you think you've seen this episode?
Oh, God, at least 10 times, I reckon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'd say a vast number of times. Vast.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds like it.
Another, like, that's a gag that they use quite often, like throwing that one word back in again at the end.
Yeah.
It really works Mr. Burns as well.
Again, there's that joy in the way that the actual voice actors deliver it as well. There's
Yeah.
so much play in how they, savor the telling of the joke.
There's like the bit where Homer's like, your rich Uncle Homer is throwing a highest box social on the high seas. And you're all invited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about some of the wacky parts of this episode? What cartoony elements stood out to you guys?
They're all absolutely on point. Like, probably my favorite side note of Homer as a character is his secret shame of eating flowers in the bathroom when
explains
no
his
one's
mysterious trip to Holland.
Yeah. But, like, that's a perfect way to have that parent-child split. Oh, go eat some flowers.
But again, like what you were saying,
Yeah, it
BT,
pays off.
it's the 1-2 punch of it all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That rib always breaks.
Oh, and the actors playing The Simpsons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't miss Bart at all.
I am glad he is gone.
As am I.
Lines that I've definitely used before that fit into that sort of wacky cartoony thing is, ooh, he card read good. Like, perfect. Or the dogs with bees in their mouth. Or the fact that
they shoot bees at you.
or the fact that immediately made me think of, like, release the robot Richard Simmons.
Yes.
Like,
For a wonderful second, I couldn't remember which one was actually in the episode.
and the one of the episode is so much less and it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He locked the door.
But no, that bit's amazing because, like, apparently they removed it because, it is a lengthy scene and also, like, it just didn't get a laugh in their, like, test, like, in the writer's room or in the test audiences and stuff. So, they just cut it. But, it stands out to people as, like, one of the highlights of the 137 episode spectacular when they show it. Like,
I just think just people couldn't believe they actually had that and nearly aired it because it was all animated and everything.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and it was, what an animation. I mean, we're talking about a part that's not in this episode, but the whole Terminator reference to it all. And...
I think what really stands out after watching this in comparison to the other episodes is just how many characters are in it.
Yeah.
Like, they all had that kind of Joker minute feel,
Yeah.
but this one
None
managed
of them
to
feel shoehorned or anything.
Yeah, and it managed to fit in so many different characters from Springfield. So not only does it feel like it's part of the larger series, it feels like the world has a bit more life. And all of those characters have something going on. The fact that, like, Marge's throwaway joke of, you've graduated from the richest and therefore best school, and she's fantasizing about, like, Marge had an internal life
Yeah.
in this
About Lee
episode.
Majors. I just love it.
Yeah.
I gotta stop fantasizing about Lee Majors.
I love how it just plays
one
the sound
more.
effect again, but it's very quietly.
Yeah.
As though it's broadcasting in her brain. But I mean, even to that, things like Grandpa gets a quick line of just turn it up. And it's an old person joke. But
And the
it's
heart attack later in the episode, which is great.
But I mean, it's a great way to get us to how the Simpsons learn about Burns' heir. And it makes sure they're just going to the movies with the grandpa. They don't have to explain it. He's just there. And so
There's people in the writing room who are so deeply, like, ingrained in the world of The Simpsons that they're just like, how funny would it be if, like, he tries to scare him into a heart attack and Grandpa's standing there?
Yeah.
Like, that's just, they have that in their bank of, like, this would be the perfect punchline. And they can just throw that out.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And just, on that movie cinema thing as well, the THX, the audience is listening. The company actually loved that so much that they commissioned for The Simpsons to animate a widescreen version of that to air before movies.
Oh,
Like,
nice.
and THX used it for, like, a number of years, and they love that. Like, just the wackiness of that bit, the dude's teeth exploding and dude's head exploding.
Yeah.
If we're going to talk wackiness, I think we need to talk about Prime Whack, which is, well, it took 2 grueling weeks, but you have your son back. Mom, Dad, I missed you.
That's Hans Moleman.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
It's like kissing a peanut.
That's just a great final little dig. And again, just some things that pay off later.
Yeah.
Hans Moleman is, of course, still there.
Yeah.
They've him dressed like Bart because it's like they almost tried.
And Hans Moleman are, like, a permanent fan favorite as well. Like,
Oh, yeah.
such a great character because it's just such a stupid voice.
A lot of the times we see, like, Hans Moleman's either depressive life or him actually dying. Like,
Yeah, oh my God.
this one, he just gets brainwashed.
Yeah. So we see Hans Moleman get brainwashed. We see Lenny Kenny get tricked into getting fired and dropped down a hole. We see
of
all
course
these
the line of, try to land on Leonard's carcass.
yeah. We see Smithers in all of these different situations. We see Chief Wiggum come in and do the bad police routine in just the absolute tone perfect way. Can't you people sort these things out for yourself? And my favorite one of the entire thing being Lionel Hutz saying, "I've argued in front of every judge in the state, often as a lawyer."
Oh, fucking Lionel Hutz in this episode
is on fire.
Yeah, because we cut to his law firm, and then just for the next minute, it's the Lionel Hutz show, and it's fucking excellent.
And
So great.
I love it. Just cuts straight to the end of the trial. It's like, I find in favor of Mr. Burns. He's clearly the boy's biological father. How did you lose?
Judge, these won't be ready until Thursday.
Yeah, so he's even doing the judge a favor, and he's still lost.
He's such a perfect character.
Oh, and is there an Orange Julia stand around here?
I'll say this one, it's half full.
Oh, I don't know. It's drink out of a toilet bowl.
He'll be back.
Oh, the confidence, and fucking Phil Hartman is so good.
And also the implication that he basically has a drive-through window for his law firm.
I didn't think of that.
It's hard that you just get to this point where it's like the only critical discourse that I can give to this episode is just quoting how hilarious it is.
Yeah. Well, I did actually have one little criticism. So when Bart comes back from Mr. Burns' house the first time, he's talking to the family on the couch.
Yep.
And then they just sort of do this hard cut to the dinner table when he's doing the flicking the peas routine. I thought that was a little clunky. That's it. That's like my only criticism of this episode, and it's like not the worst scene transition in the world.
Well, there you go, episode. You tried your best and you failed. Moral is never try.
Never try.
Well, yeah, we can talk about wackiness for ages because this is such a fun and wacky episode. But how about the heart? Did you guys feel the bumps?
Oh, come on, right at the end where he's like, I'll miss you, boy. Because Homer's sure he's going to get fired at this point because Bart has everything and that's what they wanted for him.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Dad. And the nice deceptive, like the zoom out, fire me. Yeah, that was so excellent.
Yeah, there's a lot of heart in the episode. It Bart's entire journey is perfect.
Yeah.
Because he's so on brand at the beginning. He's saying, I started a fire this morning that I should keep an eye on.
Yeah, it's weird that, he didn't really want much to do with this. And then when he gets rejected, then he feels burnt.
Yeah. But even
You mean he feels the burns? No, I hate that. Cut it.
No.
Even the actual execution of the prank is better than, I'm going to trombone a bunch of people in the head.
Yeah.
It's I'm going to tie a hose around all of the statues in his garden and turn it on so that it pops the heads off. That's genius level.
Yeah, and then fills up his car.
And then fills up, and then takes off the no solicitors sign so all the solicitors come.
Like they were waiting there.
Yeah, it's so on brand for Bart, and then his journey from I can just do what I want and have everything I want to I miss my family. It's
and then
really lovely and natural.
And to have Mr. Burns fake him out with a fake family, and he's like, well, I guess you're the only one I can trust. Dad.
Yeah. Oh, the fake family. It's weird that The Simpsons actually hung out with the actors is the implied bit at the end. Yeah. I learned a lot about that.
You can
Little
say,
Persons, Native Estonia.
Mine a little.
Yeah. Some bits don't age that well, but,
But, if that's as offensive as the episode gets, 10 years later and they haven't learned that lesson, guys, what are you doing?
Oh, yeah, for real. But ultimately, though, did it feel like an episode of The Simpsons?
Fuck yes, it did. It felt like the episode of The Simpsons, of the three that I've seen. Quintessential... This is what this show is. If you had to, explain to an alien what The Simpsons was, this is it.
Yeah.
Again, it's that perfect formula we've seen time and time again where they load up the front of the episode with so many jokes, you're having a blast by the time the story kicks in, but then the story kicks in and moves at such a great pace, and there's still great jokes everywhere. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and such a solid Mr. Burns episode,
But he was, far from being the only side character in this. This isn't just the Mo show. It's not just the Mr. Burns show. There's so much on offer.
Yeah, you're still on Bart's journey. It's just with Mr. Burns.
And if you don't like Mr. Burns, there's so much else that you can take from the episode.
Like watching him try and play football.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So good. Oh, the slapstick was so on point.
Oh, yeah.
But you alternate from this slapstick of him just kicking Smithers in the head and the both of them passing out, to a joke like, just put on a rerun of the old Krusty show. They'll never notice the difference. The Falklands have been invaded. I repeat, the Falklands have been invaded.
The Spirit Islands lie here off the coast.
Yeah, that was really good. Like, it's sort of weird that Bart set up a situation where he'd, like, potentially ruined his favorite TV show hosts.
It felt like he was pushing how much power does Mr. Burns really have, and he found out.
But yeah, Krusty left his set for $400. Yeah.
Yeah, again, keeps with character.
Yeah.
I mean, Springfield's not a huge town, so would you leave this podcast, drive somewhere else, and come back for $400 for about a half hour? Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I already have.
Yeah. I'm surprised you're not getting pizza now.
But yes or no, would you watch it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
We're going to watch it again. We're going to put it in a playlist. What playlist do we put it in? Just classic Mr. Burns episodes, right?
Yeah, I was mentioning before, I think another one of my favorite episodes, though, was the Freddie Quimby trial.
Oh, yeah.
And you just get those beautiful moments of idiot plotting and all of these little tastes of every character in Springfield, and that, to me, is what's at the heart of the Simpsons.
And that little bit of Mayor Quimby of, do you mind? You're killing the romance.
Yeah.
What you are doing is wrong. Wrong. Yeah, that is such a great point, because, like Quimby, Krusty, all the kids in the audition, it's an episode that really, builds on the foundations like that. Any other playlists?
I'm trying to think of things that relate directly to it. Auditions, there we are.
Yeah. Auditions, the theatre.
Yeah, a bit of Streetcar Named Marge,
yes.
B-Sharps.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, just Lionel Hutz episodes as well.
Oh, yeah.
Who Shot
forever.
Mr. Burns?
Yep.
Yep. BT, what would you change?
I would change none of the things.
Nothing at all?
I'd make it slightly less good so other things look better by comparison. Let me have a quick flip through here, but I really don't think there's anything.
Episode flashing before my
eyes. And then the bit where he's getting the guy to dance with the old, I don't know, what are they, flintlock pistol? Dance!
Tamp.
Dance!
I'm changing the name of my indie band to Lethargic Sperm, I think.
We have my hectic schedule and lethargic sperm.
Yep. Yeah, Lethargic Sperm would have a hectic schedule.
Yeah, I'd probably change the little person joke, probably, but the rest of it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, there was no Maggie in this. Shit!
She is busy playing video poker.
Damn it!
Yeah, no Maggie. Oh, she should have had an audition.
Okay, more Maggie.
And Burns would be like, her audition sucked. Yeah, I don't have anything to say on that. Were there any musical moments that stood out to you guys?
Let's all go to the lobby.
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Get ourselves some snacks.
Like, I'm sure that is an actual, like sting in America, but and it doesn't land as a reference for us, but you still go, this joke good.
I like how they've kind of obviously reached this agreement that he can run the ad, but they have to do that.
What?
Can you just hear this whisper? It's like, fine. So despite the fact he doesn't even want to do it, he really does it. Goes quite for it.
Yeah, that's right. And it's one of these things that, it is this very American reference, but because of The Simpsons, Australians now get now.
Well, it's also just how they've set it up. Like he moves over to a bunch of dancing candies and stuff. Like you get it.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. There's also the beautiful, like, taxi driver reference as well.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to be Mo.
Well, that was an antique. Crap. Again, good side character moments. Yeah, right. Well, we're here. BT, any other notes?
I just realized Mr. Burns has cameras in a lot of bathrooms.
Oh,
That's unsettling.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman would have a lot to say about this issue.
But because Wiggum's in the tub and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little unsettling there.
And Reverend Lovejoy was just like pounding booze as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tried to look at as many, there's 12 screens, so it was hard to see all of the debauchery.
Easter eggs. Beautiful. Love it.
Sorry, what was the question?
Notes, any other of them?
And certainly I do. Did you see that mouse? It butchered that cat like a hog. Like a hog.
Yes, the Itchy and Scratchy for this episode. Again, tying into the theme of the episode where they take Scratchy to the mint and turns him into a bunch of bills.
Yeah. One of my favorite Mr. Burns lines of, Smithers, look, a bird has become petrified and lost its sense of direction. Pish posh, we'll see what the lab says about this.
That is so fucking funny. We'll see what the lab says. Like,
like he's just so insistent on it.
Yeah.
And my last note is, If you are unaware of exactly how the Falkland Islands had their big dispute, you can look up a fantastic YouTube channel I've recommended on this podcast before called Oversimplified. They have an episode on mini wars, and one is the Falkland Islands.
Ah, there we go.
You can learn all the history in about 5 minutes.
I did not come to this place to do a learn.
Oh, you do alone. It's fun.
How about you, David? Any other notes?
The only other note I had was just like, again, going back to the joy in the delivery of things, Marge saying to Homer, "Are you thinking what I'm thinking?" And him going, "Yeah, let's push him down the steps."
Oh, Homer just like, he's got his goal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's sticking to it. That's fantastic. Oh, fuck. I'm just laughing at so many of these notes.
Man.
Yeah. It's an absolute banger of an episode.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, another favorite line. Today? Why? It's Christmas Day. There's actually, this episode probably took place around Christmas time as well, because when Bart's driving
Drives
the
through
sports
Santa's
car.
village. How did we not talk about that?
The joke is multi-layered.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but I don't know how to drive. Oh, pish posh, there's the jaws of life in the trunk.
So, yeah, another playlist. This could technically be a Christmas episode.
Yeah, or Dickens references.
Ah. Quick getting away with your rich brother's peas.
That was a big one.
That was the end piece.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, like abusing your family is one thing, but I will not stand by while you feed a hungry dog.
You get the meatloaf playlist. They've mentioned meatloafs a few times.
Mm-hmm. The food, not the artist. Yeah, again, the dogs are the bees, or the dogs that bark and they shoot bees at you. This is fucking excellent.
Yeah, I've certainly
It's
yelled
just
that
joyous.
before.
Like, that's the only thing that I can keep coming back to is there's so much. The actual heart is in the joke telling.
Yeah.
They're enjoying telling jokes, not just doing it because they're paid to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so ingrained that when we played D&D and there was a druid who had like the ability to shoot wasps, was like, can I change it to bees? So I could shoot bees at people?
I feel like the wasps would be more aggressive. I'm in such a dilemma.
Sorry, it was locusts I meant.
Yeah.
Locusts.
But stingy locusts.
Yeah.
Real stingy locusts.
No, bees.
What was the thing that you changed to be a beer demon?
No, it was a water elemental that had been brewed into a beer elemental that when it attacked people, they got drunk.
Oh, it's a good game.
It's a great game.
It's a good game.
Mm-hmm. And the thing I love about this dog bees bark shoot bees joke is that, like,
Nice. He got really good.
So pick me, Mr. Kearns.
Don't fun.
Turns, you idiot.
He's sick. Need money now. Patreon?
That's what they would have done in the new episode.
Yeah. Like and subscribe. So, like, we know about the dogs. Mr. Burns, released the hound. So then the bees is like, wait, Mr. Burns doesn't have bees. And then he combines them because he's Homer and he's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's like, I know what you're going to release the hounds. Well, why don't we make it worse? Do your worst.
The guy who, the persuasive guy, what was his official job title? Professional convincer?
Oh, they're deprogrammer.
Yeah, that's right. I did get Paul McCartney to leave Wings.
You idiot. He was the most talented one.
So good. Can I keep him anyway?
I want that thing out of my house.
So great.
Calls it a thing. And I love how Lisa tries to fill the void as well.
Yeah.
Ripping off the wallpaper.
Trips Homer.
Yeah. Such good heart there. And my final note is that Burns was going to give Bart a gift certificate to Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah. The rule of threes, the beautiful rule of threes used there.
I think, that was a funny joke of the time because it's so insignificant and it's aged perfectly because it's even less significant.
Yeah, weirdly enough.
Yeah, it actually makes Burns look dated, which is so weird.
Which is perfect, yeah.
All right, it is time to rank this thing. David, you kick it off this time.
This is straight up cubic.
Yeah.
No fucking bet.
No, getting around it, it's got to be cubic.
Doubt about it, gotta be cubic.
All right, yeah, I'm going cubic as well. This episode's just too much damn fun. I'm going to watch it again tomorrow, BT.
Yeah, unanimous cubic. Let's go. It gets fantastic. Every
Yeah,
bit. I
certified
laughed
cubes.
so many times before it even got to the joke, just knowing it was coming and just waiting in anticipation going, I'm going to laugh soon.
But still discovering. Like,
Yeah.
I'd not remembered the line about, lethargic sperm, for example. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's always
Still-
something. If you haven't seen this episode in 10 years, go back. You'll definitely see something new.
Still new moments. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's certified Zerk. Cert Zerk.
Certzerk, I like that one. All right, well, that'll make this episode unanimous cubic zirconia. This will be the 8th unanimous cubic zirconia
Wow.
from season 5. The other season 5 episodes it'll be joining is Homer's Barbershop Quartet, the B
Oh, yeah,
Sharps,
of course.
Cape Fear, the Sideshow Bob and the Cape Fear. Treehouse of Horror 4, Boy Scouts in the Hood. The Last Temptation of Homer, the Mindy episode.
Yes, such a good episode.
Yeah, which is one that I didn't remember loving as a kid, but yeah, just watching it now, it's just so
all
smart.
of these are puns on contemporary film references, not just puns.
Yeah.
Like they're all linked to something.
Yeah, like Sweet Seymour Skinner's badass song
So
as well.
good. So niche.
And Homer loves Flanders. Not a pun, but, you know.
Accurate to
But just
the
a
episode.
nice statement.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah, that about does it for the Simpsons Index. But before we get out of here, we like to talk about things that we're into at the moment. You know, our recommendations outside of the Simpsons. So, BT, take it away. What are you into at the moment?
I've been playing a lot of Hollow Knight.
Have you?
Hollow Knight is dope as fuck.
It's so good.
Yeah, I think I'm maybe only halfway through at about 20 hours because I've been doing like everything, but oh man, it's so deep and you just explore this huge, beautiful, dark, just a little bit sad, a little bit haunted area, and just the number of times I've gone into an area, found a secret from that secret, gone into another area, found another area I'm not supposed to find for 20 more hours, explored that, found another secret and gone all the way home like... Ah, what a journey. Yeah, fantastic. Loving it. Unless it craps the bed at the end, it's going to be very highly rated when I'm done.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I've heard a lot of positive buzz around that game, and it's been out for a while too,
Yeah,
eh?
you've also heard me swearing occasionally. But
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It's a tricky bastard.
Yeah.
It's also, can I point out, by an independent Australian company
really? They're Australian?
called Team Cherry.
Yeah, I didn't know it was
And
Australian.
goddamn good on them because they've done such an incredible job. It's such a beautiful game. And yeah, I'm up to the last boss of this game, and it has not let me down at any one point. It's so
Excellent.
great.
How about you, David? What have you been into?
I'm onto a couple of things at the moment. So I'm also gaming hard because we're at the end of the work year. So I've been playing through God of War, the PS4 game, or Dad of War, as it's better known.
Boy.
Yeah, boy. And hearing my dear beloved Christopher Judge, who I actually have gotten a photo with at a Supernova at some point.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, doing the voice of Kratos. It's magic. It takes a lot from one of my other favorite recent games, which was Horizon Zero Dawn. And it's just super exciting and fun to play, but also has a really compelling, beautifully told story.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. Also, two of my favorite crazy Japanese metal bands have just released new music, and I'm very happy about that, which is Duron Grey, who released their 10th album, The Insulated World, and Maximum the Hormone, who've just released a new single, and they're the greatest band that's ever lived.
I'm writing that down.
Yes, please do. They're so good.
So
Maximum
Japanese metal, is it like that over the top and bombastic sort of styling? And
Well, with Duron Grey, it's very extreme in a sense. Like the singer, a guy called Kyo, does like very high-pitched screams and very deep guttural growls, but also
Awesome.
beautiful singing. Like he has just the most incredible vocal range, and they do sort of very serious metal, very serious rock music.
Awesome.
About dark themes that you don't understand because it's all in Japanese anyway. You're just there for the sound. And then Maximum the Hormone do a combination of very hard metal and pop punk and pure bubblegum pop, and they're just the greatest band ever.
Yeah.
Like, they're so great.
oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be so down for checking that out.
Yeah.
Especially recently, you got me onto the Japanese X-Men theme, and I'm not going to lie, I've brought that up on YouTube a couple of times just to listen to it. It's
It's
such a...
phenomenal.
Did you
Yeah.
ever watch the show Death Note?
No.
So for anime fans, in the second season of Death Note, the beginning and end themes of the show are by Maximum the Hormone.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah, and what I've been into lately, just a quick update on Red Dead, because I think I wrote it off in an earlier episode.
You did a bit.
Look,
AKA fuck horses.
yeah. Horrible horse accident
Horse,
simulator.
horse accident simulator.
Yeah, look, it's a game of, it brings up mixed emotions in me because it, draws things out and it becomes tedious, but also it's also what makes it so immersive. And so if you're looking to do a cowboy sim and really get into it, it's absolutely that, because it's such a compelling story, even if the gameplay sort of lets me down sometimes.
It has been weird to watch you on this journey. She's like, dude, it's so tedious. I'm done. And then I'll see you and you're there for the next 7 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, see, that's the thing. It's probably what bothers me about it. It's not a game you can play like half an hour of and that's
Yeah.
it for the day. You got to sit down and have a session with it. But my official recommendation is any of the Jackbox Party games.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been getting on the stream with Totes Vidya, who we met in the bigsoftfriends.png Facebook group.
Terrible podcast.
Yep.
Worst podcast that I was listening to on the way here.
Yeah. With Zoe Coombs-Marr.
I love her so goddamn much.
Yeah. Oh, it was such
She's a friend of a friend, and I can't talk around her because I'm just like, you're so funny and cool.
But yeah, we've been playing Jackbox TV games, me and BT, on the streams, and it's just so much fun. So, like, if you got it home and you can get a group of friends together, you actually play it with your phones. Have you ever played them, David? Or?
I have this sounds even worse. Like, I've watched streams of other people playing. Like, the guys from Polygon did a bunch of Jackbox Party streams, and they were very fun.
Yeah, well, there's so many fun games, and it relies on audience creativity as well, and, like, it's got that sort of Cards Against Humanity thing where you're, like, rewarding other players, you know, and
and all based around wacky bullshit.
Yeah, and it's an absolute joy. So, yeah, if you got a console at home, and it's even great for non-gamers. Like, I actually really want to get my family around to play it one day because, you know, they know how to operate a phone, and it's really simple and eloquent. Like, yeah.
And to take the party game on, so it's on a central screen, but then it's on everyone's individual phones as well, makes it just real easy to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unanimous recommendation from everyone in this room.
Yeah.
Like, we're all deeply in love with the Nintendo Switch because it's the greatest. So I got married a couple of weeks ago.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. Just dropping that in. And so, like, my partner is not a gamer by any stretch of the imagination, but on the Switch we have finished 3 games together because there's so many, like, co-op options that are really accessible to people who don't regularly game. Something like Jackbox Party as well. It's not so much a game that you play together towards a goal, but it's very friendly and user-friendly. And so we've played through Snipper Clips and Overcooked, and they're just much.
That's going to bring you guys together.
So totally. And tear us apart and then bring us back together.
Yeah.
Oh, the journey.
You come back so much stronger. And both of those, like, Overcooked's wonderful, but especially Snipper Clips where...
So simple and so clever.
Yeah, it's a game that can be played by non-gamers because, you've got, like, 3 moves, and, like, it's kind of clumsy, so it leads to a lot of funny situations.
Yep.
Hey, you cut me, don't cut me, I'll cut you. Well, fuck you, I'll cut you back.
My favorite was, like, having a close to the bone scenario where it's like, I think we can maybe just nail this thing if we can just get this ball over to the hoop. And so this has my wife, who almost never plays games, like, teetering across with this thing on the edge of her player body, just going, fling! Just yelling the word fling as she sends this thing, of course, soaring into the abyss. Like, nowhere near the goal.
Yeah.
But with the total joy of yelling fling.
Yeah. Oh, Snipper Clips. Fuck, I haven't booted that up for ages.
It's a classic. It is a modern classic.
All right, guys. Well, that does us for this week. And David, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Kind of not at the moment. I mean, I've just wrapped up my first theatre production in September, which was called Monument, and will hopefully have a second life. Was really, really fantastic. But yeah, I am starting a new podcast series soon, focused around storytelling, but I want to keep it kind of close to the chest until we've sort of got something to launch. So,
And you had another podcast as well, Nothing to Fear?
Yes, so you can still listen to Nothing to Fear at nothing2fear.podbean.com. That was... Yeah, it brought a lot of joy to my life. It was just the 3 of us, myself and one fellow screenwriter, and then just a sort of weirdo talking about horror movies and trying to make them accessible to people who don't normally watch horror movies.
From that recommendation, I'm still hanging out to watch Lake Mungo. I haven't got around to it. It's on my goddamn queue and everything.
Yeah, I know you will enjoy it. It's a really beautiful film.
I'm looking forward.
Anyone wants to talk horror, hit me up.
Well, I think we'll have to get you back for a Treehouse of Horror-thon.
Hell yeah.
Fucking A. And BT, thank you for joining us as always, except when you don't.
You're welcome, except when you're not.
Fantastic. And I've been your host, Elliot Jay O'Neill. That's all the mustard in the house!
Thank you for listening to the Simpsons Index podcast, which is also an online spreadsheet available at thesimpsonsindex.com. You can chat to us online at facebook.com/thesimpsonsindex or at Simpsons Index on Twitter and Instagram. And now please stay tuned for the bonus scenes! The boot kick Bart.
It kicked him right in the butt! I do have to say, this is a callback to before when I was talking about my mum not letting us watch The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Because, it was a corrupting influence and then all of that. And now, of course, like, it's so deeply a part of our lives and a part of our family lives that, like, everyone quotes it.
Yeah.
One of the quotes that my mum will often pull out is from one of the M-rated episodes, like one of the ones where they actually sort of went, all right, let's be a little bit edgier. And it's Otto saying, they call them fingers, but I've never seen them thing.
Oh, there they go.
Yeah. From the weed episode.
The weed episode.
Yeah, bro. Weed.
Yeah, so the other question we like to spring on people at this moment is, if you could have a sandwich named after you, what would be that sandwich? Or if that's too tough, best sandwich?
Oh, my dear sweet God.
Now, to give some parameters, we classify sandwich as anything that like has chunks of bread.
Anything
inside.
in bread.
Yeah, so burger is fine, hot dog is fine.
Jesus effing Christ.
Yeah, it's tough, not gonna lie.
Okay, it's going to need to be some sort of club sandwich because I'm a multi-layered individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably going to have to be like fake meat, I think, to give an impression of like how I talk tough but I care about the planet.
Yeah.
And something spicy on it.
Yeah,
and probably potato to do justice to my Irish roots. There you go. Hit me with that.
Yeah.
Give me a taste of that.
What kind of spice are we talking here? Like, is it a sriracha? Is it jalapeno?
Oh, it's
what
Chipotle, motherfucker.
Chipotle,
the only kind that
alright.
counts.
Because
Give me that
spice is a
smoke for
wide world.
days, yeah.
So smoky chipotle.
Smoke me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With some potato. Yeah, I'm on board. That sounds good. We make these questions and then we're like, that sounds delicious. I kind of want one now.
It's the point where I'm thinking less about the ingredients of the sandwich and more about how much improv comedy terrifies me.
What represents you as a person, though, when it comes
Anxiety,
to
fear, and like...
Can you put anxiety on bread, please? We assume listeners go out and watch these episodes so they can listen to our commentary and be like, they got it right.
Exactly, yeah. I'm surprised we're not watching the episode while we do it so that they can like time the listen out to it, you know, like DVD commentary style.
Well, I also assume our listeners try to sync every episode up with Dark Side of the Moon. So there's a lot of audio stuff going on there.
Dark Side of the Simpsons.
Oh, we're there.
Every episode post 15.
For real.
Yeah. So I should probably name drop at this point that you used to work at the Brag magazine, which, for those who don't know, is a Sydney culture publication. And for that, when we had a supernova coming up, I did actually interview Nancy Cartwright.
Fucking hell.
Oh, no, what?
Yeah.
How, was it weird hearing her voice talking to you?
Yes, because, and I'm sure she's used to doing this because she's been interviewed, so many times over the course of the 30 years she's been doing The Simpsons. The most remarkable thing about it is how you will be talking to Nancy and then suddenly you're talking to Nelson and then you're talking to Bart, and she just goes in and out of these voices like they're just so immediately accessible to her.
Yeah.
And that's just wild. Like, they're so ingrained within, her instrument that she can just access them like that, which is, pretty incredible, to be honest.
So was it like a face-to-face or?
No, this was over the phone. So she was still in America at the time. They ended up cancelling the Supernova appearance, but there was no way in hell we weren't going to print that interview.
Yeah, for sure.
No, for real. Because, what an amazing voice talent as well. What did she say, in her characters and stuff to you?
Mostly just, quotes or, she would talk about one of the characters and she would talk about sort of what led to Nelson coming about, and then she would immediately start talking in Nelson's voice.
Yeah.
And that was her way through, discussing the character, as she would just be the character at the time.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, it did kind of come across a little bit, like she was used to sort of doing here are the little sound bites.
Yeah.
She knows what people want to hear.
Yeah, exactly. But I did get a nice tasty clip for a friend of mine. I said to some of my friends, hey, I'm interviewing Nancy Cartwright. You're all Simpsons obsessed. What do you want? I wanted to do Ralph Wiggum's season 1 line of, yes, but what man can tame her?
Yeah.
And she did that, but in late season Ralph Wiggum's voice. It was this is a rare gem.
That is beautiful. I feel like we ever got the opportunity, because we have this thing where we get to do Elliot to do Ralph's lines in James Earl Jones's voice. So if we ever got the opportunity, we need to get her to do James L. Jones lines in Ralph's voice.
All of her characters are high-pitched.
I know,
Yeah.
it's going to be so funny.
Oh, well, yeah, very jealous. I think you're the first person on this show to actually have had some
And any
close
kind of contact.
Yes.
with the Simpsons
So
stuff.
if you could probably Google that. If you just look up The Brag Nancy Cartwright, you can find that interview.